Chapter 134. He deliberately said this with a mischievous smile, but there was a trace of nervousness that was hard to detect in his eyes. He was testing to see if she had any feelings for him or not. While waiting for her reply, he felt like his heart had stopped beating. Chen Ning bit her lips and looked at his handsome face and those beautiful dark eyes in a daze. Her heart suddenly filled with tenderness. She stood on her tiptoes and placed a gentle kiss on his smooth as jade cheeks. This kiss made Chu Xiaobai's ears ring with a wang wang sound. His heart beat like a drum and his cheeks were burning hot. He felt like he was dreaming, but the warmth that her lips left on his cheeks was still there. That soft and gentle touch was like a spark, instantly igniting a prairie fire in his chest. But her next words were like a bucket of cold water, instantly extinguishing all of his passion. Xiaobai, treat me like your elder sister. I will treat you like a little brother, she said in a soft voice. Chu Xiaobai's body heavily trembled. He quickly looked up at her and his eyes were filled with anger and shame. She understood his heart, she understood everything. She had long seen through his unspoken thoughts. But she had used this kind of method to reject him. This was not a rejection, but rather a kind of humiliation. This was a kind of humiliation that no man could endure. In this world, there was no man who could endure being treated as a little brother by the girl he loved the most and not as a man. He raised his hand and forcefully rubbed his cheek that had been kissed by her. It was like he had touched something poisonous, and because he used too much force, his thin face turned red. Elder sister. I don't need any elder sister. He stared at her and his lips curled into a sarcastic smile, but his eyes were filled with an ice-cold gaze. Chen Ning, if you don't like me, then just tell me clearly. I, Chu Xiaobai, am a proud son of heaven. I will not beg you for something you're not willing to give me. The anger in his chest became stronger and stronger. He suddenly grabbed the box in her hand and took out the jade-like crystal ice lotus that was releasing a faint fragrance, forcefully throwing it out. With a ding sound, the ice lotus shattered into ice crystals on the ground. However, the fragrance suddenly increased and became even more fragrant. He did not even look back as he waved his sleeve and jumped out the window. With a white flash, he had already disappeared in front of Chen Ning's eyes. There was only the silver moonlight in front of the window that was still releasing a faint glow. Chen Ning slowly lowered her head. If it wasn't for the sparkling ice crystals on the ground, she would have thought that everything was a dream. It really was like a dream. She crouched down and picked up the brocade box that Chu Xiaoyang had thrown to the side. Then she slowly picked up the small pieces of ice crystals and placed them back into the brocade box. She knew that the ice would melt quickly, so she had to collect it as soon as possible. It was unknown what material this brocade box was made of. When the ice lotus was placed inside, there were no signs of it melting. When it was almost dawn, she had finally collected enough. She massaged her aching waist and stood up with a satisfied smile on her face. Although it was broken, it was still releasing a faint fragrance. She put the box into her chest. This was the ice fragrance he had given her. Although she had rejected his affection, she would still treasure this exceptionally precious gift. She knew that after he left in a fit of anger, he would never come back. Chapter 135. In her heart, it wasn't that she didn't have a trace of disappointment. After all, after she transmigrated to this world, other than Xiao Ru, he was the only person who had given her a warm smile. She could also see that he was truly good to her. Although he did not say a single word, she knew that this ice flower was not easy to obtain. The capital was in the midst of spring, and flowers were in full bloom. Presumably, only the extremely distant icy peaks would have ice that had been frozen for 10,000 years. Yet, with his excellent qigong, he had broken a leg. One could imagine how dangerous the situation must have been at the time. She believed that in this world, there would not be another person like him who would travel thousands of miles and risk his life to climb the steep and dangerous icy mountain, just for a single sentence of hers after she was drunk. She also knew why he had not appeared for several days. It was because he had been injured and his leg was broken, so he could not walk. But as soon as he recovered, he had rushed over to see her without even taking off the splint on his leg. He had given her such a precious gift, but she had given him a head-on blow. Chen Ning hated herself for being so heartless, so how could Chu Xiaobai not hate her? But hate would make him forget her even faster. It would be as if they had never met. It was better to forget each other in Jianghu. What Chen Ning did not know was that in the past few days that she had not left the palace, there were people looking for her that had turned the entire capital city upside down. The bustling streets were filled with traffic every day, with people coming and going. The hawkers were shouting their wares every day, enthusiastically trying to attract customers. Xiao Si had already lost count of how many days he had not closed his eyes. He sat on the steps of an unknown house and waited there, waiting and waiting. From dawn to night, from night to dawn, repeating the cycle. Chen Ning and her servants still did not appear. Xiao Si felt that if he kept waiting like this, he would turn into a rock. But he did not dare go back. This was because his master had given him a strict order. Even if he had to turn the entire capital city upside down, he had to find the master and servant, but he could not disturb anyone else. This was simply making things difficult for him. Xiao Si thought about it, and the only way was to wait for the rabbit to come to him. He would wait on this long street. The first day, they did not appear. The second day, they still did not appear. The third day, they still did not appear. On the fourth day, Xiao Si was anxiously waiting, but Chen Ning and her servants still did not appear. Xiao Si did not wait for Chen Ning, but he waited for other people who were anxiously waiting for Chen Ning to appear. One of them was called Xiao Ergo. He was filled with joy as he stood in the corner of the street, waiting for Chen Ning to appear. It was said that a few days ago, the girl known as the Iron-Mouthed Divine Fortune Teller had read his palm and said that in 3 days, there would be a girl from a large family coming to his house to propose marriage. In the end, on the second day, there was someone coming to propose marriage. This made Xiao Ergo and his blind mother unable to close their mouths as they prepared 2 large gifts for Chen Ning. Who would have thought that after waiting for a long time, they would not see anyone at all? This made him so anxious that he scratched his head. He asked everyone he met and told everyone he met, praising Chen Ning as if she was an immortal that had descended to the mortal world. When Chen Ning was reading Xiao Ergo's fortune, Xiao Si had not appeared yet. At this time, he was in the crowd, listening to Xiao Ergo talk about Chen Ning's fortune-telling skills. The more he listened, the more interested he became, unable to stop. Chapter 136. He suddenly realized why his master had to find her. If she really had the ability to predict the future, she would definitely be able to help his master solve the problem that gave his master a headache. Later, a handsome middle-aged scholar came. He appeared in a much more low-key manner than Xiao Ergo. He just stood at the corner of the street, looking around like he was looking for someone. He didn't see the familiar fortune-telling stall and revealed a look of disappointment. Xiao Si recognized him with a single glance. This middle-aged scholar was the last person to find Chen Ning to have his fortune told. At that time, he had said that he had lost something, but he didn't say what it was, enduring everyone's dissatisfaction. Xiao Si remembered that he had a worried look on his face at the time, but now his brows were relaxed and his eyes were bright. Hey, don't leave. The middle-aged scholar waited for a long time and did not see Chen Ning appear. He heard from the surrounding people that she had not appeared in several days and couldn't help giving a sigh. He turned to leave, but he was suddenly grabbed by Xiao Si's sleeve. "Who is your excellency?" The middle-aged scholar turned around in surprise. Seeing Xiao Si, he did not recognize him. I'm only asking you. That day you lost something and went to find the divine fortune-telling girl, did you find it? Xiao Si directly asked. I found it. The middle-aged scholar nodded. Hearing the words, divine fortune-telling girl, he couldn't help revealing a smile and his voice was filled with gratitude. That girl's divination skills are truly divine. She told me to drain the well in the back courtyard and said that the thing I wanted was in the well. I only half believed her, but I never thought that after draining the water, the thing I was looking for would appear. She really is my life-saving benefactor. I came here this time to find this girl to thank her, but who would have thought that she would not appear in several days? I owe this girl a great favor, I don't know when I can repay her. It really is that magical. Xiao Si's eyes popped out and he couldn't help asking, what did you lose? I can't say. The scholar shook his head. He cupped his hands to Xiao Si and left. Xiao Si stared at his back in a daze, not knowing what to feel in his heart. This girl was truly divine. He suddenly felt like he was a fool. His master had something to do and he had left, so how could he have followed? He should have followed that girl and found out where she lived and where she came from. Pa. He raised his hand and couldn't help slapping himself twice. He cursed, I'll hit you, you silly brat. He had actually let a golden phoenix escape in a muddle-headed manner. It was no wonder his master wanted to punish him. Even he could not forgive himself. Xiao Si suddenly jumped up and slapped the back of his head. I'm really stupid. I'm actually foolishly waiting here like an idiot. The maid called Xiao Ru had called the divine fortune-telling girl young miss, which meant that they were the golden daughters of a large family. For them to come to this street to set up a fortune-telling stall, it must be because they were forced to make a living. Perhaps it was because his family had fallen or perhaps something had suddenly happened. To put it bluntly, the girl only had one purpose for setting up a fortune-telling stall, and that was to earn money. Unfortunately, he followed his master's orders and gave her a bag of small gold ingots. Now that she had gold, how could she show her face in public? Wasn't he too stupid? But there was no medicine for regret in this world. Now that there was a sea of people, where would he go to find that girl? Chapter 137. Early in the morning, Chu Xiaoyang heard two sounds outside the window and his mood instantly became very bad. Opening the window, he saw a crow flapping its wings as it flew past the window. Damn! Hearing a crow cry early in the morning, would something bad happen to him again? Chu Xiaoyang had become a bit scared recently. He did not know what kind of bad luck he had. Ever since he married Qin Bai Yun as his concubine, dark clouds began to cover his head and his luck had never been good. Of course, he blamed all of this on Qin Ning. If she were to die, then his bad luck would also vanish. Only he did not know when that cheap woman would die. From what Yun has said, she wouldn't be able to live for more than a few days. Chu Xiaoyang had already ordered all the servants not to send anything into the wooden hut. He did not believe that if he did not give her anything to eat or drink, how long would a sick person like her last? Your Highness, this is bad. This servant has received news that the eldest princess's phoenix carriage will be coming to our palace soon. Chu Xiaoyang was currently enjoying his breakfast when housekeeper Su quickly came in to report with an anxious expression. His face instantly sunk and he coldly looked at housekeeper Su before shouting, Housekeeper Su, you're becoming more and more unruly. The eldest princess is this king's royal aunt, she's coming to visit this king and you're saying this is bad. Do you even know how to speak? Housekeeper Su's body trembled and he quickly kneeled down to say, Your Highness, this is really bad. I don't know where the eldest princess received the news that the princess is seriously ill. She's coming to visit the princess consort this time. What? Chu Xiaoyang suddenly stood up and almost flipped the table. His brows knit together. My royal aunt does not know that cheap woman, and I've never heard of them having anything to do with each other. Why would she come to visit that cheap woman? This servant does not know, but the eldest Princess Phoenix carriage will soon arrive at our door. What should we do, Your Highness, please tell us. Housekeeper Su said in a trembling voice. Chu Xiaoyang's mind was in chaos. He kicked Housekeeper Su and angrily said, "You need this king to tell you everything. What use is a housekeeper like you?" Housekeeper Su endured the pain and rolled back to kneel in front of Chu Xiaoyang. "Your Highness, in this servant's opinion, why don't we quickly move the princess out of the wooden hut and deal with the eldest princess? Then let that cheap woman return to her original place." Chu Xiaoyang said without even thinking. Housekeeper Su's face was like a bitter gourd as he said, "That won't do, Your Highness. The place that the princess used to live in is far away and the courtyard has not been maintained for a long time. If the eldest princess sees that the new room that Your Highness has prepared for the princess is like this, I'm afraid. This won't do, that won't do, then what should we do?" Chu impatiently said. Whenever he heard the word princess, he would feel a headache coming on. "Your Highness, a little impatience will ruin a great plan. The princess is already seriously ill and she doesn't have many days left. How about Your Highness grant her a favor and give her a good place to stay for 2 days? What does Your Highness think?" Housekeeper Su carefully suggested. Chu Xiaoyang's heart was 100 times unwilling, but thinking of the eldest princess, he could only helplessly nod. Chapter 138. Housekeeper Su was secretly cursing his bad luck. His Highness had actually thrown this kind of hot potato to him, but he did not dare not accept it. He had seen Chen Ning once in Chu Xiaoyang's wedding hall. With his many years of experience in the palace, he quickly determined that this princess consort was not someone to mess with. She was completely different from the rumored idiot. Thinking about it, he ordered the servants to prepare a soft sedan and then went to the wooden hut. Chu Xiaoyang's clothes were elegant as he respectfully stood in front of his door, waiting to welcome the eldest princess. Speaking of the eldest princess, she was someone he could not mess with. She was a large character that gave him a headache. She was the blood sister of the West Chu Emperor and Chu Xiaoyang's blood-related aunt. In terms of age, she was only 2-3 years older than Chu Xiaoyang, but her seniority was higher than his by an entire generation. In front of her, even the proud Chu Xiaoyang had to lower his noble head and respectfully call her royal aunt. Her title was Enlo, meaning peace and happiness, but this eldest princess Enlo was both restless and not happy. She had a fiery temper and liked to play with blades. She practiced martial arts for many years and had actually learned a good set of martial arts. Even 3 to 5 of the palace guards were not her match. Her dream was to one day carry a spear on a horse and sweep across the battlefield. She wore men's clothes all year round and never left her body. But when she was 23 years old, she still had not gotten married. It wasn't that no one had proposed to her. It was unknown how many people wanted to climb up to this golden phoenix, but she did not like any of them. The current emperor was her blood-related brother and loved his little sister very much. He had personally given her the title of eldest princess Enlo and had tried to arrange a marriage for her several times, but she had always rejected him. She had the personality of a man, so how could she lower herself to marry a weak scholar that couldn't even beat her? Moreover, she would have to serve him for a lifetime. It was simply a joke. She did not even put the current martial scholar in her eyes. She thought that he had a tiger's back and a bear's waist, just like a big black bear. The emperor was helpless and could only let her do as she pleased. But this kind of ill-fated fate existed in this world. When she was 20 years old, the arrogant eldest princess Enlu had accidentally saved a beautiful young girl that was being harassed by a bully. She never would have thought that the beautiful girl she saved wasn't a girl at all, but rather a handsome man that looked like a good girl. She fell in love with this handsome man at first sight, and without saying a word, she brought this handsome man back to the eldest princess' palace and forced them to marry. The handsome man had just escaped, and now he was met with another calamity. He was also a stubborn person. He swore he wouldn't obey the eldest princess, so he bit his tongue to commit suicide. The eldest princess liked him to the extreme. She didn't dare force him, so she imprisoned him in her palace. She tried to find a way to make him like her, but the beautiful man was as cold as ice and ignored her. It wasn't until Marquis Xian Wu angrily came looking for him that the eldest princess found out that the handsome man she stole was the second son of Marquis Xian Wu. His name was Yiting Xian, and he was a famous scholar in the capital. She watched reluctantly as Yiting Xian left with his father, his expression determined, not even turning back. The emperor sent several decrees to betroth her to Yiting Xian, but Yiting Xian refused each time. He made a heavy vow that if the eldest princess continued to force him, he would die. Chapter 139. But the more she pestered him, the more Yiting Xian hated her, avoiding her like a snake. As long as he heard the eldest princess' name, he would stay far away. The eldest princess did not give up, becoming more and more courageous. She pestered Yiting Xian for an entire 3 years, and no official dared to marry their daughter to Yiting Xian. This matter had spread like wildfire and everyone knew about it. It had already become a topic of conversation for the citizens. Seeing eldest princess and Li's carriage appear in the distance, a bitter smile appeared on Chu Xiaoyang's face. Speaking of this Yiting Xian, he was a talent that he admired. He had pride and integrity. He had wanted to recruit this person to work for him several times, but he had been rejected every time. Although he was a white-clothed man, he did not have any intentions of trying to curry favor with a dragon or a phoenix. He did not care about his noble status at all. If he could really marry the royal aunt, it would be a wonderful thing. But the goddess had her heart and King Xiang had no dreams. Thinking of this matter, Chu Xiaoyang couldn't help feeling injustice for eldest princess and Lu. Before the palanquin even stopped, eldest princess and Lu impatiently stepped out of the palanquin. She was wearing men's clothes as usual. Her back was straight and she looked proud. She was wearing a sky blue belt and there was a dragon spring sword hanging from her waist. Her facial features were clear and her brows were strong. There was not a single trace of femininity on her body. Compared to the handsome Chu Xiaoyang, she looked more like a man than Chu Xiaoyang. Seeing this kind of eldest princess, Chu Xiaoyang asked himself. If he was Yiting Xian, he would also avoid her. Royal aunt. Chu Xiaoyang called out with a smile as he came forward to greet her. He and the eldest princess had grown up together and practiced martial arts together. Although they were of different generations, they were similar in age, so their relationship was very close. Eldest princess and Lu had no expression on her face and there was not a trace of a smile on her face. She looked at him and walked into the palace. Her steps were even bigger than his. Where is your princess? Bring me to see her. She went straight to the point. Chu Xiaoyang was stunned. Although he had heard housekeeper Su say that the eldest princess was here to visit Qin Ning, he was still a bit surprised hearing this. In his memory, the royal aunt should not have seen Qin Ning before. Why would she want to see that cheap woman for no reason? Imperial aunt, Lady Qin, she has a tuberculosis disease and her condition is very serious. The imperial doctor said that this disease is very contagious and imperial aunt is so respected, it is best for you to take care of your phoenix body. Nephew has already invited a doctor to treat her illness and after she recovers, nephew will bring her to greet imperial aunt. Oh right, imperial aunt, it's been a long time since you've come to visit your nephew's residence. Your nephew has just learned a new set of palm techniques and would like imperial aunt to teach me a thing or two. Chu Xiaoyang said with a smile, wanting to divert the eldest princess' attention. He knew that the eldest princess loved martial arts and loved to fight with others, but she was the eldest princess. How could normal people dare to fight with her? She would often pull the guards in the residence to spar with her, but no matter how courageous those guards were, they would not dare to reach out and touch even a finger of her phoenix body. Otherwise, would their heads still be on their necks? So when she fought, those guards would either be like wooden people, taking hits and not fighting back. Their palms would hit empty air and their feet would be weak. There was no fun in fighting at all. Chapter 140. Of course Chu Xiaoyang would not be too serious. Every move he made was measured, and sometimes he would deliberately show a flaw, letting the eldest princess taste a bit of sweetness. Although the eldest princess could not win against him, it was much more satisfying than fighting the guards in the palace. So whenever the eldest princess was in a bad mood or her hands were itchy, she would come to Chu Xiaoyang's palace without an invitation and compete with him. In the past, when she heard the word competition, the eldest princess' eyes would light up and she would drag him to the arena without caring about anything else. Who would have thought that Chu Xiaoyang's move would not work today? The eldest princess shook her head without even thinking. You want a beating, but this princess is not in the mood to teach a stinky brat like you a lesson today. Hey, stop talking so much and bring me to see your princess. This princess must see her today. This princess has brought many precious herbs from the palace and the best doctor from the doctor yard. No matter how sick she is, this princess will cure her. Chu Xiaoyang secretly complained in his heart, but he did not dare go against the eldest princess' wishes. He could only say with a smile, then royal aunt can come in and sit for a bit. Let your nephew send someone to inform Miss Chen and have her prepare to welcome royal aunt. He could not understand even if he thought about it. How could Chen Ning enter the royal aunt's eyes and even bring a doctor from the palace to cure her? If this illness was really cured by her, how would he be able to live in the future? The eldest princess knit her brows and said in an unhappy voice, "What do you mean, distinguished guest? This princess has never liked these customs. Where does she live? If you don't want to see her, this princess will go by myself." After saying this, her phoenix eyes narrowed and she coldly looked at Chu Xiaoyang. "Stinky brat, this princess thought you were different, but I never thought that all crows in the world are black. You're like those stinky men, marrying one after another. You've only been married for 3 days and you've already taken her little sister as a concubine. If you didn't like her in the beginning, why did you marry her? Since you married her, you didn't treat her well. You really make all the women in the world despise you." Chu Xiaoyang's face turned red and green from being reprimanded by her. He opened his mouth to defend himself, but the eldest princess waved her hand and impatiently said, "Stop wasting time. Where does Chen Ning live? The Peach Blossom Cove or the Flowing Cloud Pavilion?" She was very familiar with the King Ding Yuan Palace, so she immediately said the 2 best places in the palace. Chu Xiaoyang had an awkward expression as he stuttered, "The Peach Blossom Cove is my nephew's favorite place. He has never allowed outsiders to take a single step in." Before he could finish, the eldest princess cut him off. "It must be the Flowing Cloud Pavilion. Go accompany your concubine. This princess will go to the Flowing Cloud Pavilion myself." She did not even look at Chu Xiaoyang as she walked towards the Flowing Cloud Pavilion. Since she came off the sedan, she had not revealed a single smile to Chu Xiaoyang. It was clear that she was very dissatisfied with him. She had always been close to this nephew of hers and had never put on the airs of an elder in front of him. This was the first time she had ever reprimanded him so harshly. Chu Xiaoyang was given the cold shoulder. Because she was his blood-related aunt, he did not dare argue back. He could only swallow his anger and follow behind the eldest princess. "Royal aunt, let's first go to the martial field and stretch our muscles. This new palm technique that nephew has learned is extremely powerful." Is royal aunt afraid of nephew and doesn't dare to spar with nephew? He purposely tried to provoke him, hoping to stall for more time. Chapter 141. Damn housekeeper Sue, why wasn't he reporting to me yet? Where did he place that cheap woman? He secretly cursed in his heart. The eldest princess stood still and raised her brows. She glared at him. Would this princess be afraid of a stinky brat like you? Good. Then let's fight and let this princess see if your martial arts have improved. If you're taught a lesson by this princess, you're not allowed to cry. The stone in Chu Xiaoyang's heart fell to the ground. He giggled and said, Then royal aunt, if your nephew hurts you, you're not allowed to cry. Humph. Do you think this princess is that kind of delicate girl? Stinky brat, this princess sees that your skin is itching. Let's go. The eldest princess turned around and walked in the direction of the martial arts field. Chu Xiaoyang quickly waved his hand and called for a servant. He ordered in a low voice, Quickly call housekeeper Sue to the martial arts field to see me. After saying this, he quickly followed the eldest princess' footsteps, heading straight for the arena. How could Chu Xiaoyang know that housekeeper Sue was currently in a terrible state? No wonder he had strangled him with a rope. He brought the palanquin to the wooden hut and thought that he would see a sick princess lying on the bed, but who would have thought that he would see two young girls happily kicking shuttlecocks in front of the wooden hut. The chicken-tail shuttlecocks flew high into the air and the young girls' bell-like laughter came with the spring wind. Housekeeper Sue knit his brows. He had already ordered everyone in the king's palace that no one was allowed to come to the wooden hut. Where did these two girls come from? They actually dared to disobey His Highness' orders, they really are bold. When he came closer, he immediately recognized the young maid as the maid that had accompanied Wang Fei into the Fu. She was called Xiao Ru. As for the other girl, she smiled and raised her chin. Her eyes were bright and she was in high spirits. That dazzling smile was unforgettable to anyone. Who was she? Housekeeper Sue blinked for a while, but he couldn't recognize her. He turned around and asked around, but the servants all shook their heads. They didn't recognize her either, but they were all attracted by that girl. He walked forward with a calm face. Before he could say anything, Chen Ning looked over from the corner of her eyes and saw him. Then her eyes fell onto the palanquin behind him. She came so fast. She slightly curled her lips and put away the shuttlecocks. She nodded at housekeeper Sue, but she did not say anything. Housekeeper Sue saw her proudly standing there with a noble expression, making his heart filled with anger. Everyone in the mansion knew who he was. Who didn't lower their heads when they saw him? But when this girl saw him, she actually raised her head high, completely not putting him in her eyes. Who did she think she was? She was just a girl who wanted to climb into His Highness's bed with her looks. Housekeeper Sue gave a heavy snort. Housekeeper Sue. What's your name? Where are you working? His tone was very unfriendly. Sue didn't say anything. Xiao Sue's. Xiao Ru stepped forward and pointed at housekeeper Sue as she shouted, Who are you? You! You actually dare to shout at the princess consort, how dare you? Xiao King Princess. Princess. Xiao want. The princess. Housekeeper Sue took 3 steps back in shock as he stared at Chen Ning with wide eyes. Wasn't the princess seriously injured and suffering from tuberculosis? Wasn't she on the verge of death? Why was she laughing, jumping, and happily kicking the shuttlecocks? Could it be that the person in front of him was not a person, but a ghost? Chapter 142. But when he looked down, he saw Chen Ning's shadow on the ground. He couldn't help scolding himself for being a coward. In broad daylight, how could there be a ghost that dared to come out and cause trouble? His courage suddenly increased as he looked at Chen Ning with a suspicious gaze. Then he bowed to Chen Ning in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Princess consort, this servant is surnamed Su and is the palace's housekeeper. I have come under His Highness' orders to visit the princess consort. He first asked a probing question, but then he asked with a bit of uncertainty, this servant has heard that the princess consort is seriously ill. Are you really the princess consort? How could he recover from his illness in just one night? Could it be that she had eaten some miraculous medicine? Chen Ning's eyes swept over him and saw the doubt in his eyes. Then she softly said, that's right, this princess was indeed sick. Moreover, it wasn't light at all, I almost died. Speaking of which, this princess being able to be cured in one night is all thanks to His Highness' grace. His Highness' grace. Housekeeper Su's heart was even more confused. Did he not understand His Highness' thoughts? His Highness wanted the princess in front of him to die as soon as possible, so why would he give her any grace? That's right, this princess was so sick that she only had a single breath left. Thanks to His Highness' grace, this princess was sent to this quiet place. It seems like housekeeper Su also contributed to this matter, right? Chen Ning curled her lips and her voice was filled with sarcasm. Housekeeper Su's face turned red as he lowered his head, not daring to make a sound. But this princess is blessed by the heavens, gaining a blessing in disguise. Who would have thought that in this small wooden hut, there would be an elixir that could cure this princess? Chen Ning said with a faint smile. Elixir? What elixir? Housekeeper Su couldn't help looking at the wooden hut behind Chen Ning. What does Housekeeper Su want to know? Chen Ning raised her brows and pointed at the yard to the side. There are some sweet potatoes in that field. None of you sent us food, so my maid dug some sweet potatoes to eat, but who would have thought that these sweet potatoes would be a good medicine? When this princess woke up tonight, I felt much better, so I ate some sweet potatoes and became even more spirited. Then I pulled my maid over to play shuttlecock. Speaking of this, isn't this a blessing in disguise? After saying this, she slightly pursed her lips and revealed a smile. Housekeeper Su and the people behind him all had their mouths open in shock. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Eating sweet potatoes could cure illnesses. This was the first time they had heard of this. But seeing Ning Ning's expression, they could tell that she didn't mean it. Then this servant really wants to congratulate the princess consort. When His Highness finds out that the princess consort has recovered, he will definitely be very happy. Housekeeper Su said this in a dry voice, as if he wasn't being sincere. Chen Ning smiled and was too lazy to expose his lie. She softly said, one doesn't come to a temple for no reason. Housekeeper Su has come to this small wooden hut. Is there something you need from this princess? If you want to dig away the sweet potatoes in this field, this princess will not agree. Princess consort is joking. These sweet potatoes can cure the princess' illness, so this servant does not dare touch them. Housekeeper Su's face was filled with awkwardness as he thought about what to say. That's good. If you have something to say, then say it. Chen Ning impatiently looked up. Housekeeper Su's eyes darted around, and he suddenly had an idea. Chapter 143. His lie was very pleasant to hear. He thought that after Chen Ning heard that His Highness was going to see her, she would be very happy and enter the sedan without any hesitation. Who would have thought that Chen Ning would give a cold snort and say with a serious face, he wants to see me, but this princess doesn't want to see him. What is there to see about him? Go back and tell your highness that this princess is living very well here and doesn't want to go anywhere else. After saying this, she flicked her sleeves and turned to enter the wooden hut. Xiaoru made a face at Housekeeper Su and then followed behind Chen Ning. Housekeeper Su was stunned, standing there in a daze. Chen Ning's attitude was very firm, there was no room for negotiation at all. But the eldest princess was about to arrive and she wanted to see her. He couldn't let the eldest princess see the respected King Ding Yuan's legal princess live in a broken wooden hut like this, right? If this was spread to the ears of the citizens of the capital, His Highness' face would be gone. If this was spread to the Emperor's ears, he would be enraged and His Highness would not be able to bear the consequences. Housekeeper Sue couldn't help secretly blaming His Highness, giving him this hard bone to chew. If he couldn't do this well, His Highness would not forgive him. When he thought of His Highness' cold and emotionless personality, he couldn't help shivering. No matter what, he had to invite the princess out of the wooden hut before the eldest princess arrived. Even if he had to use force, he would not hesitate. Housekeeper Sue made up his mind. He took 2 steps forward and arrived at the door of the wooden hut, giving a soft cough. "Princess, this servant does not dare disobey His Highness' orders. So, it would be better if the princess could leave, otherwise this servant will have a hard time." His voice already had a hint of threat in it. Several servants understood. They took a step forward and stood behind him, staring at Chen Ning in the wooden hut. "What, if this princess doesn't want to leave, then Housekeeper Sue will use force. All right, if any of you have the guts, then come and kidnap this princess." She raised her hand and stopped Xiao Ru, who was about to step forward. "Xiao Ru, stand to the side for me and don't move. This princess wants to see who dares to touch a single finger of this princess." Her eyes turned cold as she looked at the servants outside the door. The servants did not have the guts. The other side was the princess. Even if she did not have His Highness' favor, her status was still there. Housekeeper Sue saw that he could not force her, could he not lure her, and could Chen Ning not move at all. He suddenly felt a headache coming on. "Princess consort, please have pity on this servant. If I can't complete this task, His Highness will be angry and will definitely take this servant's life. Please give this servant a way out." Housekeeper Sue could not be forced, so he used soft force. So he kneeled down and knelt to kneel in front of Chen Ning. His heart was filled with anger and hatred. If it wasn't for the eldest princess wanting to see him, how could he kneel to a princess who had lost her power? "Housekeeper Sue, tell me clearly. Why do you want me to leave this woodshed?" Chen Ning sat in the chair, not moving at all. A pair of autumn-like eyes fell onto Housekeeper Sue's face, making Housekeeper Sue feel a bit guilty. This. He stammered. Under Chen Ning's penetrating gaze, he found that he could not make up a single lie. He gritted his teeth and could only tell the truth. Chapter 144. So it's like this. Chen Ning gave a cold laugh. Her eyes were like cold lightning as she stared at Housekeeper Sue. Housekeeper Sue's face turned red and he could not raise his head. "All right, since it's like this princess won't make it hard for you. It's not hard for this princess to leave the wooden hut, but this princess only has 2 conditions. Go tell your highness, and if you can do it, then this princess will immediately leave." Housekeeper Sue was filled with joy. He let out a sigh and quickly asked, "Princess, please speak. What are your 2 conditions?" This princess' 2 conditions are very simple, they are not hard at all. This princess has heard that the best place in the king's palace is the Peach Blossom Cove. Chen Ning slowly said. Housekeeper Sue's heart skipped a beat and he quickly replied, reporting to the princess, "This Peach Blossom Cove is His Highness' forbidden area. Other than His Highness, no one in the palace is allowed to enter." Chen Ning gave a cold laugh. "Aren't you afraid? No matter how good Chu Xiaoyang's place is, this princess doesn't care. I've heard that the Flowing Cloud Pavilion has a beautiful environment and is spacious and bright. This princess wants to move to the Flowing Cloud Pavilion, that is the first condition." Housekeeper Sue thought that the princess was truly ruthless, wanting to move to the best place in the palace. But the situation forced him, so he could only bite the bullet and agree. Yes, His Highness will definitely agree to the princess condition. You are the princess, so naturally you should live in the best place. May I ask the princess, what is your second condition? He held his breath as he asked. This princess's second condition is even simpler than the first. Right now, it is His Highness that wants this princess to move, it is not this princess that wants to move. So, your Highness should know what to do. This is this princess' second condition. Chen Ning was not in a hurry as she slowly said this. Housekeeper Su couldn't help knitting his brows. He thought about it and then realized something. The princess meaning is that you want His Highness to personally come over and invite you over? He took in a cold breath and asked. Housekeeper Su is truly a smart person. Chen Ning gave a faint smile and nodded, silently agreeing. Housekeeper Su's head suddenly turned from 1 to 2, then from 2 to 4. When he saw Chen Ning's expression, he knew that she was not joking. If he did not agree to her 2 conditions, she would not leave no matter what. Helplessly, he could only deal with it for now. For the second condition, this servant does not dare make a decision for His Highness. I ask the princess consort to wait a moment, this servant will report to His Highness first. Go, this princess does not have much patience. It is best if you go quickly, otherwise this princess will change your mind. Chen Ning giggled as she looked at him. Her smile was bright and moving, but when Housekeeper Su saw it, he couldn't help but shiver. When Housekeeper Su arrived at the stage, Chu Xiaoyang and eldest Princess Enlil were fighting evenly, unable to decide the winner. In order to stall for time and let the eldest princess enjoy herself, Chu Xiaoyang had to reveal several flaws. His chest and butt were punched and kicked by the eldest princess. Especially the kick on his butt. The eldest princess did not hold back at all and used all her strength. Not only did it leave a black shoe print on his pants, it also made him feel pain in his bones. However, he could not cry out in pain and could only endure it. Royal Aunt, your nephew has not offended you, right? Did you have to use that much strength to kick your nephew's butt? Chapter 145. Humph. The eldest princess gave a cold snort and there was not a trace of a smile on her face. Without saying anything, she raised her right palm and sent a palm at the right side of Chu Xiaoyang's face. If Chu Xiaoyang didn't dodge fast enough, he would have been hit by a 5-finger mountain. Royal Aunt, wait a bit. Your nephew has matters to attend to. Chu Xiaoyang jumped back and jumped out of the circle. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Butler Su rushing over. You can't beat me, so you want to run. The eldest princess was having fun fighting, so how could she let him leave? She sent out another kick at Chu Xiaoyang's butt. Put-ong. Chu Xiaoyang couldn't dodge in time and was kicked by her. With a put-ong sound, he fell face first onto the ground and ate a mouthful of mud. He was angry and annoyed. He jumped up and spat out a mouthful of mud as he angrily glared at the eldest princess. Royal Aunt, sneak attacking me from behind is against the rules of Jianghu. The eldest princess gave a pei sound. Stinky brat, your newly learned palm technique isn't that great. Stop boasting in front of this princess in the future. Yes, yes, yes. It's a good thing Royal Aunt taught me, otherwise your nephew would have been tricked by the martial artist who taught me palm techniques. I ask Royal Aunt to wait a bit, your nephew will go change his clothes and then accompany Royal Aunt to visit this king's princess. Chu Xiaoyang could be considered a clever person, quickly finding a dignified reason. The eldest princess did not doubt him. Seeing that he was willing to go see Chen Ning with her, she nodded. Chu Xiaoyang pulled Housekeeper Su to an empty corner in one breath. Then he asked with a calm face, how is it going? Housekeeper Su first swallowed a mouthful of saliva before gathering his courage and telling him Chen Ning's first condition. Chu Xiaoyang's face sank and he declined to comment. She wanted to move to the flowing cloud pavilion. She's dreaming. But with the situation right now, he had to agree even if he didn't want to, but his expression was very ugly. "What does your highness think?" Housekeeper Su secretly looked at Chu Xiaoyang's expression and his heart filled with anxiety. "Humph." Chu Xiaoyang gave a heavy snort. The stone in Housekeeper Su's heart fell to the ground. He knew that his highness' snort meant that he agreed. "What is that cheap woman's second condition?" Chu Xiaoyang asked through gritted teeth. "Say it." "Yes, your highness." "Yes, your highness." "The princess' intention is for your highness to personally invite her before she is willing to leave the wooden hut and move to the flowing cloud pavilion." Sure enough, Chu Xiaoyang's face changed when he heard this. Sure enough, Chu Xiaoyang's expression changed when he heard this and his eyebrows turned green from anger. Sure enough, of this king's face. Of this king too of her. What kind she is she? Chu Xiaoyang was filled with rage. If Chen Ning appeared in front of him, he would strangle her without any hesitation. Housekeeper Su. Of Chen. Housekeeper Su had already expected his Wang Ye's reaction and immediately knelt down. "Your Highness, please listen to this servant. A little impatience will spoil a great plan. You are a person who does great things and the princess is just a little girl. Why do you need to lower yourself to her level?" Chu Xiaoyang felt a throbbing pain in his temples. His chest felt like it was filled with cotton, making it hard for him to breathe. How could he not know that Housekeeper Su's words were reasonable? But thinking of how he had to beg that cheap woman in such a low voice, he felt an evil fire fill his head. He was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. Paw! He slapped Housekeeper Su's face and then with a kick, he sent Housekeeper Su to the ground. Chapter 146. Housekeeper Su did not dare argue and did not dare resist. He endured the pain as he lay on the ground, letting him beat him. After Chu Xiaoyang vented his anger, he felt his anger dissipate a bit. Looking at Housekeeper Su who had been beaten black and blue, he let out a heavy breath. "Scram for this king. Lead the way, we're going to the wooden hut." After Housekeeper Su left, Chen Ning ordered Xiao Ru. "Pack up our things." Xiao Ru happily agreed. They didn't bring much with them to begin with, so they quickly packed them into a small bundle. "Young miss, do you think His Highness will personally invite you to live in the flowing cloud pavilion?" Xiao Ru looked at Chen Ning. She still did not dare believe it. Chen Ning giggled and nodded. She scratched Xiao Ru's nose. "If you don't like living in the wooden hut, then we'll live in the best place here. I believe you'll like it there." But. Xiao Ru still had a confused look. "That eldest princess in Lu doesn't seem to know the young miss, so why would she come visit you for no reason?" "About this, you'll know in a bit." Chen Ning revealed a mysterious smile. She looked out the window and suddenly thought of something. "Xiao Ru, take out the mirror and the rouge." Xiao Ru was very happy hearing this. Hearing that His Highness was coming, the young miss had finally decided to dress herself up beautifully. The young miss was already 10 times prettier than the second miss, but it was a pity that in the Duke's palace, the young miss treated the second miss as a good person. She believed whatever the second miss said. The second miss had given the young miss a lot of thick rouge, saying that one had to wear heavy makeup to be beautiful. So the young miss always painted her face in a variety of colors, thinking that she was beautiful. In the end, when this news spread out, everyone laughed at the young miss for being an idiot. Now the young miss had finally seen the true face of the second miss. If the young miss seriously dressed herself up, it would definitely make the eyes of the blind King Ding Yuan who only treated the second miss like a treasure fall out. Chen Ning opened the rouge box and began applying it on her face in front of the mirror. Xiao Ru's mouth turned into a circle. "Young miss, why did you make yourself look like this again?" Xiao Ru was about to cry. She was looking forward to the young miss stunning in front of Wang Ye, but she didn't expect that the young miss would once again paint her beautiful face like a monkey's butt. Chen Ning was very satisfied as she turned her head. "Do I look good?" she asked, smiling. "It doesn't look good." Xiaoru pouted, her stomach full of unhappiness. "It's right that I don't look good. He doesn't like me and I don't like him, so why should I show him my good appearance?" Chen Ning revealed a row of snow-white teeth as she smiled. "But this servant doesn't understand." "Young miss, why are you doing this? You are clearly more beautiful than the second miss. This servant believes that if His Highness sees the young miss appearance, he will definitely fall in love with you. Don't tell me you don't want Wang Ye to change his mind and reconcile with Wang Ye." Xiaoru was wholeheartedly doing this for Chen Ning. In this era, men were the heavens and women were the earth. Once they were married, the husband would be the woman's support for the rest of her life. Men had as many wives and concubines as there were hairs on an ox. How could they win their husband's love for a long time? This was what every woman thought about every day. What she couldn't understand was that the young miss was doing the opposite. Others wanted to fight for favor, but she couldn't wait to push His Highness away. Chapter 147. Of course, in Chen Ning's eyes, Chu Xiaoyang was no different from a pile of shit. "You said that if he sees my face, he will definitely like me." Chen Ning looked at Xiaoru in a funny manner and decided to teach this girl a lesson. "That's right." Xiaoru nodded in confirmation. "If I grow old one day and my face is not as beautiful as it is now, with my face covered in wrinkles and my hair turning white, do you think he will still like me?" Chen Ning asked. This. Xiaoru was stunned, unable to answer. "He definitely won't like me, right?" Xiaoru nodded, but her heart was filled with a trace of sadness. "This kind of man, are you willing to marry?" Xiaoru shook her head without even thinking. She wouldn't marry. "That's right. This kind of man, why would I want to reconcile with him? Why would I want him to change his mind? Even if he kneels on the ground and begs me one day, I won't even look at him." Chen Ning spoke in a bold and unrestrained manner. Xiaoru looked at Chen Ning with eyes filled with worship. She suddenly felt that even if the young miss painted her face like a monkey, she would still look beautiful to her. "He's here. Young miss, His Highness. He really came." Xiaoru inadvertently looked out the window and saw Chu Xiaoyang walking over with a dark expression. She could feel a cold aura and killing intent from him from afar. So terrifying. Looking at His Highness' appearance, it was clear that he wanted to kill someone. Xiaoru's heart suddenly jumped. She pulled on Chen Ning's sleeve and said, "Young miss, His Highness seems very angry. Should we find a place to hide?" "Why should we hide? We won't go anywhere, we'll just sit here and wait." Chen Ning raised her brows and sat on the wooden bed without moving. Chu Xiaoyang's footsteps stopped in front of the wooden hut. The last time he came, he had kicked open the door. At that time, he had wanted to teach that cheap person a lesson. But this time, he had come to beg her to live in the largest and best flowing cloud pavilion in his palace. Thinking of this, he felt a burst of anger. He held his breath and wanted to kill someone. Housekeeper Su gave a cold shiver. Feeling the killing intent coming from Chu Xiaoyang, he immediately took 2 steps back. He was afraid that he would become His Highness' punching bag. He saw that Chu Xiaoyang's hands were tightly clenched into fists and the veins on the back of his hands were popping out. It was clear that he wanted to break the girl's head with a single punch. He was so scared that his heart was clenched. "Your Highness, you can't, you absolutely can't. A little impatience will ruin a great plan. Your Highness, don't forget, the eldest princess is still waiting for you." Housekeeper Su reminded him in a small voice. "Who? Of?" Chu Xiaoyang let out 2 heavy breaths before walking into the wooden hut with a pale face. This damned woman, she clearly knew that he was coming, but she actually didn't come out to welcome him. His cold eyes swept over the room and he saw Chen Ning sitting on the bed. His heart filled with anger. Not only did she not come out to greet him, she even sat on the bed arrogantly. How dare she? Chu Xiaoyang's teeth began to creak as he was so angry that he couldn't say anything. A cold killing intent came from his body and scared Xiao Ru so much that her face turned white as paper. She hid behind Chen Ning. Chen Ning acted like she did not see Chu Xiaoyang at all. She gave a tsk and said to herself, "Strange, we've been here for a day and night and I haven't seen any mice. Why did I hear a mouse cry out today? Xiao Ru, did you hear that?" Chapter 148. Where was the mouse? It was clearly the sound of His Highness grinding his teeth. This princess consort really was bold, daring to laugh at His Highness in front of his face. But none of them dared to laugh, so they could only hold it in. They all buried their heads and shrugged their shoulders. Even housekeeper Su was not an exception. Xiao Ru did not understand Chen Ning's meaning and stupidly said, "This servant heard it." There really was a mouse crying out and it seemed to be a large mouse. As soon as her voice fell, a strange "chi, chi, chi, chi" sound came from outside the door. Housekeeper Su and the servants could not hold it in anymore. Although they closed their mouths, they could not suppress the laughter that leaked out from between their teeth. What is this sound? A mouse farting. Chen Ning couldn't help knitting her brows and covering her nose with her sleeve. The veins on Chu Xiaoyang's forehead were popping out and he was filled with anger. He almost made a move to kill someone. But without knowing why, when he heard Chen Ning say, "mouse farting," he suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of joy. The anger that was about to erupt from his chest had unknowingly disappeared. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he actually wanted to laugh. It was a good thing he held it in. Damn! How could he be amused by this slut's words? He gave a heavy snort. His eyes fell onto Chen Ning's face and then he looked away with a look of disgust. That red face painted like a monkey's bottom entered his line of sight, and it reminded him of the scene when she appeared in the wedding hall. A deep sense of disgust and anger filled his heart. "This king is here, you can leave now," he coldly said. His voice was filled with disgust and he did not even want to look at Chen Ning. "Yo, so it's your highness' arrival. This princess has not gone out to welcome you. I don't know why your highness has come to this small wooden hut, what is it for?" Chen Ning said with a smile. The more he hated her, the happier she felt. Being able to make Chu Xiaoyang unhappy, she did not feel tired at all. She could not beat him, but she could anger him to death. Humph. You already know the answer. Chu Xiaoyang's face turned livid with anger and he heavily waved his sleeve. Could it be that your highness heard that this princess was about to die, so you came to see this princess one last time? Then I'll have to disappoint your highness. This princess obtained a blessing from this disaster. Coming to this small wooden hut, I found a miracle pill that cured this princess' illness. Chen Ning continued to say with a smile. Chu Xiaoyang had already heard housekeeper Su report this matter. His heart was filled with hate for this cheap woman Luck. Now that Chen Ning mentioned it, his intestines turned green with regret. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have sent her to the woodshed. Perhaps this slut would have died long ago. Less nonsense, eldest princess Enlu has come to visit you. This wooden hut is not suitable for guests, so you should move to the flowing cloud pavilion. Chu Xiaoyang endured and endured, barely managing to control the anger that was about to explode and say these words. Chen. Xiaoyang had to say and say. He was afraid that if he stayed any longer, he wouldn't be able to stop himself from taking that woman's life. Chen. As soon as he stepped out of the wooden hut, Chen Ning's lazy voice came from behind him. Chu Xiaoyang's footsteps stopped, but he did not turn around. In a low voice, he said, "Is there something else? It's not impossible for this princess to move to the flowing cloud pavilion, but we need to agree on 3 rules first." "What 3 rules?" Chapter 149. This princess is not a dog that you can order around. Today you want me to move to the flowing cloud pavilion and tomorrow you want me to move to the wooden hut. Everything is up to you, that's not good. This is the first chapter, does your highness agree? Chen Ning calmly said. Chu Xiaoyang's back stiffened and after a while, he gave a snort. Chen Ning knew that he had agreed, so she smiled and said, "The flowing cloud pavilion is where this princess lives, so the people that serve this princess must be personally chosen by this princess. Other than the maids that serve this princess, no one from your palace can enter my flowing cloud pavilion." This is the second chapter. Chu Xiaoyang gave another snort. Chen Ning smiled until her eyes narrowed. She slowly said, "The third chapter is that the sweet potatoes in this courtyard have cured this princess' illness, so I want to ask your highness to give this courtyard to this princess. This shouldn't be hard to do, right?" Chu Xiaoyang felt this was strange. He thought that Chen Ning would make it hard for him with this third chapter, but who would have thought that her request would be a remote courtyard? This was the most acceptable part of the 3 chapters. "All right. It's a deal," Chu Xiaoyang said in a deep voice. His eyes looked back at Chen Ning. Chen Ning was smiling at him. Seeing him turn around, the smile on her lips slowly became wider and she suddenly winked at him. "Your Highness, if you and little sister have nothing to do, you can come to my flowing cloud pavilion. This princess will welcome you. In your dreams." Chu Xiaoyang suddenly gave a loud shout and then left without looking back. Chen Ning smiled as she looked at his back. She calmly said to housekeeper Su, let's go to the flowing cloud pavilion." The flowing cloud pavilion was just like Xia he had described. It was clean and elegant and the place was bright and spacious. Not only was there a small bridge and a pavilion, there was even a small flower garden. The flowers were like a brocade, blooming in full bloom. Chen Ning fell in love with this place as soon as she saw it. Xiao Ru was so happy that she clapped her hands. "Young miss, this flowing cloud pavilion is truly beautiful. It would be great if we could live here for the rest of our lives." She gave a satisfied sigh. When Chen Ning heard this, she pinched her ear and scolded her with a smile, "You really have no future. You want to live here for the rest of your life, but I don't." "Why? This place is even bigger and better than our Duke's palace. What's wrong with living here forever?" Xiao Ru asked in a silly voice. "Because I don't want to spend my entire life for a man like Chu Xiaoyang. He is not worthy," Chen Ning said with a smile. She pushed open the pearl curtain and walked into the room. Xiao Ru was stunned and she could not react for a long time. Xiao Ru to say. "To me. Xiao to Chen He." In less than half a cup of tea's time after Chen Ning moved in, eldest princess and Lu came with housekeeper Su to the flowing cloud pavilion. Chu Xiaoyang was not lightly angered by Chen Ning in the wooden hut. He would rather gouge out his own eyes than see Chen Ning's face again, so he found a reason to stay far away. It was a good thing that eldest princess and Lu wasn't looking for him. Him not coming was within eldest princess and Li's expectations. "Eldest princess, this minister's concubine has not welcomed you. I hope the eldest princess will forgive me." Chen Ning seemed like she had already guessed that Chu Xiaoyang would not appear. She had already washed her face and changed into a proper dress. Then, she came to the flowing cloud pavilion to wait. She followed the rules and bowed to the eldest princess, not breaking the rules at all. Chapter 150. Housekeeper Sue looked at her with a strange expression. He did not dare believe that this polite and well-mannered Chin Ning in front of him was the arrogant princess that he had seen in the wooden hut that did not put his highness in her eyes at all. It was like she was a completely different person. "You're Chin Ning. Stand up and talk." Eldest Princess Enlu had a straightforward personality, just like a man. However, she was, after all, a noble daughter of the heavens. Her standards were not ordinary, and not everyone could enter her discerning eyes. Looking at the entire capital, the number of people that could enter her eyes could be counted on 5 fingers. Although she was a woman, she looked down on women the most. Housekeeper Sue thought that when she saw Chin Ning, she would give the other side a show of strength. He never thought that although the eldest princess did not have any expression on her face, she did not reveal any disgust or impatience. This was just too strange. "This princess heard that you were sick and very sick, so this princess came to visit you. Seeing you now, you don't look like you're sick at all. Could it be that someone is deliberately lying to this princess?" Eldest Princess Enli's eyes turned cold as she coldly looked at Housekeeper Sue. Housekeeper Sue quickly kneeled down and reporting to the eldest princess, the princess consort was indeed sick a few days ago, but the princess consort was very lucky. After taking a miracle pill, she was cured in a single night. There is such a miraculous pill in this world that can cure a sick person in a single night. Housekeeper Sue, you're not exaggerating, right? Tell me, what kind of miracle pill is this? If there really is such a pill, this princess would also like to have a few. Eldest Princess Enlu clearly did not believe him. Housekeeper Sue was covered in a cold sweat. "This servant does not dare lie to the eldest princess, this matter is completely true. If the eldest princess does not believe me, you can ask the princess consort." He was a very experienced person, throwing the problem to Chin Ning with a single sentence. Eldest Princess Enlu turned to look at Chin Ning. "Is this true?" Chin Ning revealed a faint smile and bowed to the eldest princess as she said, "The eldest princess has come to visit this minister's concubine. This minister's concubine is very grateful. This matter is a long story, so I asked the eldest princess to come in." "All right." The eldest princess did not say anything else and walked in first. Her attendants and guards followed closely behind her with gift boxes and other items in their hands. Housekeeper Sue did not move an inch. He had come under Chu Xiaoyang's orders to find out why the eldest princess was looking for Chin Ning, so how could he leave so easily? Chin Ning smiled as she looked at him, but she did not say anything. They walked through the 9 winding corridors and entered the main hall of the Flowing Cloud Pavilion. The eldest princess waved her hand and said, "Put down the gift this princess brought and all of you can leave. This princess has something to say to the princess alone." Everyone bowed and accepted the order. They put down the gift boxes and left. The entire hall only had the eldest princess, and there was only the eldest princess. He didn't know whether to leave or stay. If he left, he would not be able to complete the task given to him by the prince, but if he stayed, why are you still here? The Grand Princess glanced at him from the corner of her eyes and saw him. Her face was filled with displeasure. Reporting to Princess Royal, His Highness ordered this servant to serve Princess Royal and Princess Consort well, so this servant does not dare to leave. Housekeeper Sue braced himself and said. The eldest princess raised her brows and shouted, "Scram! Your servant scram, your servant will scram right now." Chapter 151. Eldest Princess, please have some tea. Chen Ning poured a cup of fragrant tea and placed it in front of the eldest princess. The eldest princess did not even look at the cup of tea as her eyes stared right at Chen Ning's face. She went straight to the point and said, "This princess did not come here to drink tea. You sent someone to tell this princess that you have a way to help this princess get what she wants, is that true?" It was because of these words that she came to the King Ding Yuan Palace without any hesitation. She had to see Qin Ning no matter what. But if Qin Ning dared to lie to her, did she think that the sword in her eldest princess Enli's hand was just for show? Her hand was placed on the hilt of the sword at her waist. Under her sharp brows, a flash of killing intent appeared in her eyes. Qin Ning had already seen her expression and actions. She thought that the eldest princess was exactly the same as she had imagined. Eldest princess, please calm down and listen to me slowly. If what I say does not satisfy the eldest princess can take out the sword at your waist and cut off my head. She looked into the eldest princess' eyes and replied without blinking. From the eldest princess' appearance and the way she spoke, Qin Ning could quickly tell that she was a straightforward girl. With this kind of personality, she did not like nagging people, so she was also straightforward. As expected, these words were to the eldest princess' liking. Her sharp eyes softened a bit and she had a solemn expression as she nodded at Qin Ning. Sit down and talk. Qin Ning sat down for an entire 4 hours. Housekeeper Su was anxiously waiting outside, and his neck was stretched out. The longer he waited, the more restless his heart became. The eldest princess and the princess should not know each other, but the eldest princess had not shown her face for half a day. What could the two of them have to talk about? They had been talking for so long. This is bad. Housekeeper Su suddenly slapped his thigh. The princess consort wouldn't be complaining to the eldest princess, right? If she told the eldest princess everything that had happened since she entered the manor, then this matter would certainly be passed from the eldest princess's mouth to the emperor's ears. It had to be known that His Highness and the princess were engaged by the emperor. If His Highness did not like the princess, it was equal to not liking the emperor. It was equal to slapping the emperor's face. Even if His Highness was the emperor's blood-related nephew, the emperor would not easily forgive him. Housekeeper Su became more worried the more he thought about it. He stared at the flowing cloud pavilion's door and finally saw eldest princess Enli's figure walk out. His heart jumped into his throat. He thought that the eldest princess would be filled with rage and come out to find His Highness. He never thought that when his eyes fell onto the eldest princess' face, he was so shocked that his chin almost fell. Heavens, was he seeing things? He could actually see a trace of a smile on the eldest princess' cold face. Until the eldest princess left, Housekeeper Su felt like he was in a dream. Hearing Housekeeper Su's report, Chu Xiaoyang was filled with confusion. He thought that after the eldest princess came out of the flowing cloud pavilion, she would come back to compete with him. When the eldest princess left, Housekeeper Su felt like he was in a dream. Who would have thought that the eldest princess would directly return to the princess palace, not even leaving a word for him? This was simply too unbelievable. The news of Qin Ning moving into the flowing cloud pavilion quickly spread to Qin Baiyun's intoxicated flower pavilion. Chapter 152. She did not care about the pain as she grabbed Lan Xiang's wrist. She gritted her teeth and said, "Is what you said true?" Not only did that cheap woman not die, His Highness even allowed her to live in the flowing cloud pavilion. Her long fingernails dug deep into Lan Xiang's skin. Lan Xiang did not dare cry out in pain as she forcefully replied, "Yes, yes. Concubine consort, this servant has heard everything." She would not dare lie to the concubine consort. But how could she not die? How could His Highness allow her to live in the flowing cloud pavilion? Qin Baiyun angrily shouted. Of course she knew what kind of place the flowing cloud pavilion was. It was a place she wanted to live even in her dreams. Although her intoxicated flower pavilion was not bad, it could not compare to the flowing cloud pavilion. Although His Highness loved her, he did not give her the flowing cloud pavilion, but he gave it to that damn cheap woman, Qin Ning. Qin Baiyun's heart was being bitten by a poisonous snake called jealousy. Her eyes seemed like they were about to burst into flames. This servant does not dare say. Lan Xiang trembled as she looked at her. She felt her wrist becoming more and more painful as Chen Baiyun's fingernails were already drawing blood. "If you don't speak, I'll beat you to death." Chen Baiyun's gentle appearance in front of Chu Xiaoyang completely changed. She glared at Lan Xiang and shouted in a sharp voice. It's like this." Lan Xiang swallowed a mouthful of saliva and told Chen Baiyun everything she heard. Chen Baiyun became more and more angry the more she heard. Especially when she heard that eldest princess Enle had personally come to visit Chen Ning, she almost bit her lips in hatred. If the eldest princess supported Chen Ning in the future, how could she deal with that cheap woman in the future? Cheap woman. That damn cheap woman. How did she manage to hook up with the eldest princess? "This servant does not know." Lan Xiang replied in a low voice. "If you don't know anything, then what use does this concubine have for you?" Chen Baiyun slapped Lan Xiang's face. She seemed to think that the Lan Xiang in front of her was Chen Ning. Slap after slap, it was very satisfying. This servant knows her wrongs. I asked the concubine consort not to be angry. Lan Xiang did not dare dodge and could only kneel on the ground to let her vent. Only when Chen Baiyun was tired did she stop while gasping for breath. She stared at Lan Xiang, who had been beaten black and blue, and coldly said, "How did your face become like this? If His Highness asks you, how will you answer?" Lan Xiang endured the pain and replied, "Yes, this servant accidentally fell. Paw." Xiang slapped her face again. "Say it again." "Yes. Princess sent people to beat him up." Lan Xiang suddenly had a flash of inspiration and blurted out. Chen Baiyun slightly nodded and then asked, "The princess is living well in the flowing cloud pavilion, why would she hit you for no reason?" Lan Xiang gritted her teeth and said, "This servant followed the concubine consort's orders and brought gifts to the flowing cloud pavilion to greet the princess. I never thought that not only would the princess not let this servant in, she would even send people to teach this servant a lesson. So, this servant's face became like this." Chen Baiyun finally revealed a satisfied expression. She reached out a hand to help Lan Xiang up and stroked her face as she said, "Very good, you are someone by my side. She hitting you is equal to hitting me. This concubine consort will definitely let His Highness make the decision and help you find justice. This servant thanks the concubine consort for her grace." Lan Xiang held back her tears as she replied. Chapter 153. This servant has already inquired about it. Oh, what is the reason? This servant heard from housekeeper Su's servants. They said that the princess ate the sweet potatoes in the wooden shed and never thought that the sweet potatoes would be a good medicine. After the princess ate it twice, her illness was cured. Everyone was amazed when they mentioned this matter. Also, Lan Xiang looked at Chen Baiyun with a hesitant expression. Also, Lan Xiang looked at Chen Baiyun. Chen Baiyun's eyes revealed a jealous and hateful glow. "Speak. I heard them say that the princess asked His Highness for the wooden shed and the yard. She said that the sweet potatoes in the yard are life-saving elixirs and no one is allowed to touch them." Lan Xiang said. "Is that so?" When Chen Baiyun heard this, her face revealed a cold smile. "Very good, no one is allowed to touch them. This concubine wants to personally see what kind of treasure the sweet potatoes in the yard are." She did not wait a second as she brought Lan Xiang to the wooden shed. If the sweet potatoes in the yard really had the effect of reviving the dead, then she would pull them up by the roots and not leave a single one for that cheap woman Chen Ning. After Chen Ning moved into the flowing cloud pavilion, she asked Chun Tao and Xia He to come over and serve them by her side. Especially to Xia He, she gave her a few words of encouragement. When the eldest princess came to the King Ding Yuan palace this time, it was Xia He who sent the news for her. These two maids were already filled with admiration for her. After eating breakfast today, Chen Ning saw Chen Tao and Xia He winking at each other with strange smiles on their faces. Her eyes turned and she pursed her lips into a smile as she asked, "What happened now?" Xia He rushed to say, "Princess Consort, when you hear this news, you will definitely feel very satisfied." "What is it?" Chen Ning asked. Xia He laughed before saying anything. She laughed so hard that she couldn't stand up straight. Chen Ning rolled her eyes and pointed at Chen Tao as she said, "You speak." "Yes, Princess Consort." Chen Tao was older than Xia He by a year, but she was much calmer. She also had a smile on her face that she could not hide. This servant heard a funny joke early in the morning. It said that yesterday, Consort Shenfei went to the wooden hut for some reason, and then for some reason, she fell into the manure pit. Her personal maid Lan Xiang rushed to save her, but the two of them fell in and were covered in manure. The wooden hut was far away and the two of them had been soaking in the manure pit for several hours before they were discovered by the night watchman. I heard that the concubine consort Qin had taken 7-8 baths, but she still had the smell of manure on her body. The smell was so strong that His Highness couldn't even sit for a cup of tea before quickly leaving. "Ha, ha, Princess Consort, isn't this funny?" The three maids all broke out in laughter. Chen Chen could not help. Her eyes sparkled as she turned the teacup in her hand. She smiled as she took a sip of tea. Xia He finally stopped laughing and said, "His Highness asked the concubine consort why she went to the wooden shed for no reason. That concubine consort Qin said that she heard that the sweet potatoes in the yard could cure illnesses, so she wanted to personally dig a few for His Highness. But she never would have dreamed that other than the sweet potatoes in the yard, there would also be a large manure pit. Ha, ha, this is called trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. She deserves her bad luck, letting her have ideas about our princess consort's things." Chapter 154. Xiao Ru felt very satisfied hearing this. She clapped her hands and said with a smile, I understand. No wonder the young miss deliberately said that sweet potatoes could cure diseases in front of housekeeper Sue. So the young miss had dug this trap for the second miss to jump into. Chen Ning said with a serious expression, if she didn't have the intention to harm people, then she wouldn't have gone to the wooden hut and wouldn't have fallen into the manure pit. This is her own doing, what does it have to do with me? The three maids all smiled and nodded their heads in agreement. The weather today is not bad. Xiao Ru, come out for a walk with me. Chen Ning heard the swallows chirping outside the window. She thought that she couldn't let down this beautiful spring scenery. The King Ding Yuan Palace was very large and there were pavilions everywhere. Chen Ning stood on top of a rock in the flowing cloud pavilion and looked out. She saw a large lake not far away and there was a row of willows on the shore that were currently sprouting tender green buds. The surface of the lake was as smooth as a mirror. When the wind blew, it caused the spring water to ripple. She couldn't help feeling interested as she brought Xiao Ru over to the lake. The spring wind blew and the fragrance of flowers filled the air. Everywhere was filled with the aura of spring. Chen Ning's mood also soared. Standing under the willow tree on the shore, she looked at the sparkling lake and revealed a bright smile. The sunlight passed through the green silk and softly shone on her face, adding a layer of pale golden brilliance to her beautiful face. Xiao Ru suddenly picked up a stone and with a put-ong sound, she threw it into the lake, breaking the calm surface of the lake. Xiao Ru, what are you doing? Chen Ning asked with a smile. When this servant remembered that the second miss had bullied you before, my heart was filled with anger. So, I treated her like a stone in the toilet and threw her into the water. Xiao Ru let out a sigh and picked up a few more stones. She angrily threw them into the water. Chen Ning pursed her lips into a smile. Seeing her childish actions, she said with a smile, "Do you want to stink the entire lake?" Xiao Ru stuck out her tongue and giggled as she said, "That's right, this servant forgot. The second miss had just fallen into the manure pit and her body stinks." Chen Ning's childish heart stirred. She bent down and picked up a stone that was covered in scabs. It looked very ugly and she asked Xiao Ru, "Is this stone ugly?" "It's very ugly." Xiao Ru honestly nodded. "All right." Chen Ning raised her hand and threw the stone far away into the lake. With a dong sound, it sank into the lake. "All right." Chen Ning raised her hand and threw the stone far away into the lake. "Oh, young miss." Xiao Ru was so shocked that her eyes almost popped out. "Chu Xiaoyang, other people treat you as a treasure, but in my Chen Ning's eyes, you are just a stinky stone in the toilet. Stinky and hard." Chen Ning smiled as she picked up another ugly stone and threw it into the water without saying a word. "Chu Xiaoyang. This miss doesn't care about this stinky stone." Another stone was thrown. "Choo choo. Choo." Chen Ning was very happy throwing the stones, completely unaware of it. "Xiao xiao stone, ru xiao xiao chen chen," she said. "Xiao. I, Chin." This little mirror lake was right next to the flowing cloud pavilion. The scenery was beautiful and there were green willows. This was a place that Chu Xiaoyang normally liked to come to. But after Chen Ning moved into the flowing cloud pavilion, he never came here. He was afraid that if he met Chen Ning, he wouldn't be able to control himself and would choke her to death. This day was also a coincidence. He was going to the intoxicated flower pavilion to visit Chen Baiyun. Chapter 155. Her neck was white and her clothes were half open. Her skin was like jade and her curves were exquisite. She should have been very attractive. If it was the normal Chu Xiaoyang who saw this scene, he would have emotionally pulled her into his embrace and comforted her. But today, when he thought of how she had been soaked in the manure pit for several hours, he could feel a faint stench coming from his nose. Even when a strand of her hair fell on the back of his hand, he couldn't help feeling disgusted. He had a hard time resisting the urge to push her away and said a few words of comfort in a stiff tone. His face was already a bit ugly, but Chen Baiyun did not see it. She pulled Lan Xiang to kneel in front of him and added some vinegar to the lye she had prepared. Then she begged him to make a decision with a face full of grievance. Lan Xiang's face was swollen like a pig's head and there was a strange smell coming from her body. Chu Xiaoyang did not wait for her to come closer before covering his nose in disgust. The word he didn't want to hear the most was princess. Chen Baiyun kept saying princess and princess, making him feel very angry hearing this. He waved his sleeves and coldly reprimanded her. "This king has already given the flowing cloud pavilion to that woman. You clearly know that she has a vicious heart, so why don't you stay away from her? Why do you always send yourself to her door? Lan Xiang becoming like this is all her own fault. If she had obediently stayed in the intoxicated flower pavilion, she would not have been humiliated like this. And you're pregnant, why didn't you stay in your room and instead went to a remote place like the woodshed? You even dug up some sweet potatoes to make this king's medicine. Could it be that all the chefs in this king's palace have died and you need the concubine consort to personally make soup?" Chen Baiyun had never been so mercilessly reprimanded by Chu Xiaoyang before. She was so embarrassed that she wanted to hide. Her face turned red, white, and green. She was not willing to give up and said in a wronged voice, "Your Highness, are we just going to let Lan Xiang be beaten like this? Even if this matter has nothing to do with elder sister, it is still the fault of her maids. They say that you have to look at the master before beating a dog. Those maids slapping Lan Xiang's face is the same as slapping Yun Er's face. In the future, Yun will be looked down upon by everyone in this palace. After saying this, tears fell down and she had a pitiful look on her face. Chu Xiaoyang shouted, "You are this king's concubine. As long as you follow the rules, no one will look down on you. But because of your careless actions, you've become the laughingstock of others. You should stay in the intoxicated flower pavilion and reflect on your mistakes. Without this king's permission, you are not allowed to take a single step out of the intoxicated flower pavilion." After saying this, he angrily slammed the door and left. After saying this, he angrily slammed the door and left. Chu Xiaoyang was very annoyed. After leaving the intoxicated flower pavilion, he randomly walked around. Unknowingly, he followed the familiar path to the little mirror lake. All of a sudden, he heard a voice as clear as a silver bell ring out from under the willow tree by the lake. "Chu!" The voice called out 3 words clearly. Chu Xiaoyang was shocked. He suddenly stopped and looked over to the source of the sound. A burst of anger rose in his heart. He thought to himself that this servant girl had the guts to call him by his name in public. 2 young girls were standing on the lakeside. Their backs were facing her, so she couldn't see their faces clearly. However, their light green and red eyes were exceptionally eye-catching. Chapter 156. He was thinking with knitted brows, wondering where he had seen this girl before. He saw the green-clothed girl bend down and pick up a dirty stone, throwing it into the lake. "Chu Xiaoyang, other people treat you as a treasure, but in my Chen Ning's eyes, you are just a stinky stone in a latrine pit. Stinky and hard." Chu Xiaoyang's face instantly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. Damn! She was actually Chen Ning. Enemies really were on a narrow road. Chu Xiaoyang tried his best to control himself from charging out, but his temples were already beginning to hurt. He took a few deep breaths and prepared to leave this place. What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve. Who would have thought that when he took a few steps, he would hear Chen Ning's laughter from behind him? Her voice was very sweet and clear, just like little beads hitting a jade plate. If he did not know that this laughter was Chen Ning's, perhaps he would have been moved. But now he felt that this voice was very ear-piercing. "Go to hell, Chu Xiaoyang." Chen Ning smiled as she threw out another stone. This was unbearable. Chu Xiaoyang could not hold it in any longer. He turned around and with a flicker of his body, he appeared behind Chen Ning. Chen Ning and Xiao Ru under the tree did not notice anything. They were still happily chatting and laughing, not thinking that someone would suddenly appear behind them. "Cheap woman, die." Chu Xiaoyang gritted his teeth. Without any hesitation, he raised his right leg and kicked Chen Ning into the lake. With a put-ong sound, water splashed everywhere. Chen Ning fell into the lake like a weight. "Young miss." Xiao Ru let out a scream. She turned around and saw Chu Xiaoyang's killing intent-filled face. Her face instantly turned white. "Your Highness, why did you push the young miss into the water?" Although Xiao Ru was afraid, she still gathered her courage to ask this question. Her face turned red and she almost wanted to charge over and fight Chu Xiaoyang. "Cheap woman deserves to die." Chu Xiaoyang coldly said this before turning to leave. You. Xiao Ru was so angry that she could not say anything. She tightly bit her lips. She did not bother scolding Chu Xiaoyang. She fell to the shore and desperately shouted into the lake, "Young miss! Young miss! Someone come! Quickly save her! The princess consort has fallen into the water! Young miss! Young miss!" Xiao Ru's voice was choked with sobs as tears continued to flow down her face. Her body trembled. If the young miss drowned, she would not want to live either. Ripples suddenly appeared on the surface of the lake, followed by a pop sound, and a wet head with black hair drilled out of the water. Xiao Ru was startled, but when she looked over, her tears turned into a smile. Before the tears had even come out, she was already smiling like a flower. "Eldest miss, you didn't die." This servant was almost scared to death. "Come quickly, let this servant pull you up." Chen Ning swept away the wet hair in front of her face and looked at the shore. She angrily shouted, "Xiao Ru, just which bastard kicked my butt from behind?" "Yes. Yes, Your Highness." Xiao Ru stuck out her tongue as she replied. When Chen Ning heard this, she angrily scolded, "Chu Xiaoyang, you can even do this kind of immoral thing." When Chen Ning heard this, she angrily scolded, "Chu Xiaoyang, you can even do this kind of immoral thing. Are you still a man?" Although she knew how to swim, being kicked into the lake like this made her drink several mouthfuls of cold water. Adding in the fact that the weather had just warmed up in March, the lake water was still ice cold. Goosebumps appeared all over her body as she shivered in the water, almost cramping up. Chapter 157. Chu Xiaoyang had not gone far when he heard Chen Ning scolding behind him. His brows knit together. She actually didn't drown. Humph, she should count herself lucky. Towards Chen Ning's endless scolding, he turned a deaf ear to it and sped up his footsteps. Only when he was far, far away that he could no longer hear Chen Ning's voice did his footsteps slow down. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and even his originally depressed mood became a lot more relaxed. This kick was truly comfortable. Chu Xiaoyang's mood became better and the smile on his face became wider and wider. Of course he knew that his actions were not honorable, it was even a bit shameless. If this was spread out, he would be laughed at by others. But he couldn't help it and did it. And he didn't regret it at all. Chen Ning's body was dripping wet as she climbed out of the lake. Her face was already purple from the cold and she felt like all the blood in her body had frozen. Xiao Ru quickly took off her outer robe and draped it over her. It was a good thing that this place was not far from the flowing cloud pavilion. Seeing Chen Ning come back drenched like a chicken, Chun Tao and Xia He were both shocked. They didn't have time to ask before they ran into the kitchen to boil some hot water for Chen Ning. After soaking in the steaming hot tub for the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, Chen Ning finally let out a sigh of relief. She felt her limbs begin to warm up. She gritted her teeth and cursed, "Chu Xiaoyang." Then she sneezed 3 times in a row. When she woke up on the second day, Chen Ning felt like her nose was stuffed and her throat was on fire. She knew that she had caught a cold and it would take her at least 3-5 days to recover. This man could even do something like kicking her in the water behind her back. What bad things could he not do? Chen Ning felt that she had treated this man as a human before, but from today onwards, she decided that she would not treat him as a human anymore. So, she began to give the warmest and most sincere greetings to this man that was not a human. From the 8-man era to his 8 generations of ancestors, she greeted them all. Chun Tao and Xia He's hearts trembled when they heard this. The princess consort's courage was too big. She scolded His Highness 8 generations of ancestors. Didn't that mean she was also scolding the emperor? Daring to scold the emperor, this was a crime punishable by death. Xiao Ru was filled with excitement. "You're so wicked, you don't have a temper when giving birth." Chen Ning was tired from greeting people and her throat was sore. She finally ended today's greetings. Xiao Ru couldn't help correcting her, "Young miss, this servant remembers that giving birth to a child without a penis." Chen Ning revealed a faint smile to her and said, "It's not elegant at all. We are people with morals, we can't curse people like this." "But that day in the wooden hut, you called housekeeper Sue and the others mice farting." Xiao Ru blurted out. Chen Ning couldn't help flying into a rage out of shame. She said with a serious face, Xiao Ru, no one will think you're mute if you don't speak. Since you're so free, then go out and help me with something. Ning chin-chens and said back. All right, young miss, please instruct me. Xiao Ru stuck out her tongue and made a face. Ning. As he. She. As he chin-chin. Xiao. Chen picked up the raised. He. Ning. Chin. Ning. As and wrote, with the up. She didn't know any medical skills, but she had read many medical books, many of which were about traditional Chinese medicine. She had memorized many prescriptions and pharmacopoeias. Those that could be passed down from ancient times to modern times were all classics that had been tempered hundreds and thousands of times. Chapter 158. But Chen Ning only had a stomach full of prescriptions, she did not know how to take a pulse. The three maids were shocked. Princess consort, you also have medical skills. Chen Ning shook her head, I don't. Xia he couldn't help saying, our palace has a doctor, how about this servant go find a doctor to take a look at the princess consort's illness? I just caught a cold, it's not a big problem, so I don't need to see a doctor. The people in this palace are all Chu Xiaoyang's people, who knows if they will poison the medicine to harm me. Chen Ning softly said. Xia He's face turned red and she stammered, Princess consort, before this servant. Let bygones be bygones. This princess knows that you were tricked by someone else, so don't mention it from now on. As long as you wholeheartedly treat me in the future, this princess will treat you and Chun Tao like sisters. Chun Tao and Xia He's hearts were filled with gratitude. The two of them had been ostracized in the king's palace, but they never thought that after following the princess consort, they would be able to hold their heads up high. Now all the maids in the king's palace were envious of their good luck. Xiao Ru held the jewelry box and prepared to leave, but Chen Ning suddenly called out to her. Wait a minute. A light flashed in her mind and she thought of an idea. She said, after you get the medicine, go buy some fireworks. The more the better, do you understand? Young miss, do you like to set off fireworks? All right, this servant will definitely buy the biggest and prettiest one. Xiao Ru happily agreed. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and did not say anything else. When Xiao Ru came back, she really did buy a lot of fireworks and firecrackers. The smile on her face turned into a flower. When she saw Chen Ning, she smiled and said, Young miss, we really have money now. This servant took the jewelry that the second miss sent to the largest pawn shop in the capital and pawned it for a total of 3,000 silver coins. She happily took out a thick stack of silver bills and gave it to Chen Ning. Then she said, this servant bought the medicine and firecrackers, spending a total of 1 silver tael. Young miss, we really have money now. Chen Ning smiled as she poked her forehead, you're a money grubber girl. After she took the medicine, she felt a lot more comfortable. Her body no longer felt hot and cold, but when she thought of Chu Xiaoyang, her heart filled with anger. She had suffered a large loss to Chu Xiaoyang this time. If she did not take revenge, then she would not be Chen Ning. But she knew Chu Xiaoyang's strength and knew her own level. If they fought, then 100 Chen Ning Xiaoyang would not be able to beat him. But a smart person only needed to use their brains and a fool used their hands. Chen Ning narrowed her eyes. Her eyes fell onto the pile of fireworks and she gave a gentle laugh. After washing and eating, she was to tutu, Chen Lingyun Ning Tian, and then she would to Chin. After washing up and having breakfast, she was ready to complete her plan. Xiao Ru suddenly walked in from outside with a confused look on her face. She was holding a bamboo basket in her hand that was covered with a blue cloth. Eldest miss, don't you think it's strange? This servant woke up early this morning and found this basket in front of the door. Can you guess what's in this basket? Young miss, how did you guess it? Xiao Ru's eyes opened wide in shock. Young miss, how did you guess it? Xiao Ru's eyes opened wide in shock. Chapter 159. Xiao Ru was suddenly enlightened. Then she asked, Then young miss, can you guess who placed this basket of eggs in front of our door? This servant has already asked Chun Tao and Xia He, but they don't know. Moreover, other than the four of us in the Flowing Cloud Pavilion, there is no one else here. Last night, this servant checked the doors and windows and found that they were all locked, so where did this basket of eggs come from? Could it be that the chickens of the world came to our door to lay eggs in the middle of the night? Her round little face revealed a puzzled look. Hearing the words, eggs laid by the chickens of the world, Chen Ning's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She didn't know why she thought of Chu Xiaobai. Could it be that this basket of eggs was sent by Chu Xiaobai? But, didn't he leave in a fit of anger? With his personality, it was impossible for him to turn back. But if it wasn't Chu Xiaobai, where did these eggs that fell from the sky come from? Xiao Ru, leave these eggs here. As for that basket, put it in front of your door when you go to sleep. Perhaps another basket of eggs will appear in the morning, who knows? Chen Ning pursed her lips with a smile. She was just casually joking, but she never thought that Xiao Ru would really pile the eggs in front of her and place the basket in front of the door. Chen Ning didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She looked at the round eggs and then at the firecrackers Xiao Ru had brought back. A wonderful idea appeared in her mind. You guys leave first, I want to be alone for a bit. She sent Xiao Ru, Chun Tao, and Xia He out of the room. She told them that no matter what happened, they were not allowed to take a single step into the room if they heard anything. Although the three maids did not understand what she wanted to do, they couldn't help looking at each other in blank dismay. Chen Ning had locked herself up for an entire day. If it wasn't for the sounds coming from the room from time to time, the three maids would have thought that she had disappeared into thin air. Chun Tao and Xia He finished cooking and brought it in front of the door. No one dared to disturb Chen Ning, so they could only silently wait. When the food was cold, they would bring it down and change it to a hot one. When it was cold, they would change it to a new hot dish. All the way until the evening. Pang! Suddenly, there was a deafening explosion in the room. It's thunder! It's thunder! Xiao Ru screamed out. Her hands tightly covered her ears as her face turned pale from fear. The sky is collapsing, the sky is collapsing. Chun Tao and Xia He hugged each other and shivered. They could feel the entire house shaking slightly. After a while, they realized that it wasn't thunder at all. That loud sound clearly came from Chen Ning's room. First miss. What's wrong with you? Young miss, say something. Young miss. Xiao Ru was the first to charge over. Her two fists desperately pounded on the door. She was terrified and only had one thought in her mind: something must have happened to eldest miss. That loud noise must have been the explosion of the firecrackers she had bought. Eldest miss might have been blown to pieces. The more she thought about it, the more scared she became. Her face was covered with tears and snot, and her voice was hoarse from shouting. Your Highness, are you inside? Are you all right? Say something. Chun Tao and Xia Tao also rushed over to smash the door. Finally, Chen Ning's voice came from the room. Are the three of you girls calling for souls? I'm not dead yet. Chapter 160. Xiao Ru's tears turned into a smile. She was so excited that she could not control herself. Chun Tao and Xia He were also overjoyed. They almost hugged their heads as they cheered. That explosion had almost scared them to death. If something happened to the princess, then their days in the king's palace would not be good. "All right, I'm fine, you don't need to worry. Go wash up and sleep, you're not allowed to disturb me, do you understand?" Chen Ning's voice was filled with a trace of impatience. The three maids looked at each other and stuck out their tongues. No one dared to say anything, but no one was reassured by Chen Ning. So Chen Tao brought a blanket over and the three maids stood guard outside the door for an entire night. When it was midnight, the three of them unknowingly fell asleep. After the sun rose, Xiao Ru was the first to open her eyes. She gave a sleepy yawn and suddenly jumped up. Her eyes opened wide as she stared at the basket in front of her. The basket, which had been empty before she fell asleep last night, was now filled with eggs. The young miss was right. Her jaw dropped as she stared at the basket of eggs in a daze for a while. Then she suddenly thought of something and rushed to the door. She listened carefully. She found that the room was completely silent, without a single sound. "Young miss. Young miss." Her heart was filled with fear. Something must have happened to the young miss. Princess consort. Chen Tao and Xia He woke up at the same time. Their first reaction was that something had happened to the princess consort. "You three, disturbing people's dreams so early in the morning, aren't you annoying?" Chen Ning's lazy voice came from inside the room. Then with a ping-dang sound, the door opened. "Young miss. Princess consort." When the three maids saw that Chen Ning was safe and sound, they were all surprised and happy. But when their eyes fell onto Chen Ning's face, their chins almost fell off. "God, Princess consort, how did you become like this?" Chen Tao's mouth was wide enough to fit an egg in. "Princess consort, you. Xia He was stunned and couldn't say anything. Only Xiao Ru's eyes lit up. Her eyes were filled with surprise. "Young miss, your hair is too beautiful. How did you get it like this?" "It's really good, really beautiful." After staying in the room for a day and night, Chen Ning's appearance had completely changed. Her white as jade face was now as black as coal. Her eyes were filled with red veins and she looked very tired, but the light in her eyes shined brightly. What shocked the three of them the most was her hair that was as black as the clouds. His hair, which used to be as smooth and vertical as satin, was now fluffy and curly, rising and falling like the waves of the sea. Every strand of hair was shining. Xiao Ru circled around Chen Ning, filled with envy. Chen Ning looked. Chen Ning. Of course, she couldn't tell the three maids that her hair was caused by the explosion of sulfur from the firecrackers because of her failed experiment. That would be too embarrassing for her as the princess. "Young miss, this servant also wants this kind of pretty hair." Xiao Ru pouted. Xiao Ru, Xiao Long, Xiao Ning, Xiao was Xiao Ru, Xiao, how could Xiao Ru know? She was so happy that she almost jumped up. Teet, to say. Xiao, and tu. Chapter 161. Young miss, are you an immortal that has descended to the mortal world? You can even guess this. This servant placed the empty basket here and when I opened my eyes this morning, it was filled with eggs again. Aren't these eggs from the chickens that descended to the mortal world in the middle of the night? Xiao Ru excitedly picked up the basket like it was a treasure that fell from the heavens. Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat. It had to be Chu Xiaobai. She could already be 100% sure that the person who did this, other than Chu Xiaobai, could not be anyone else. But, why did he not give anything else and only give her eggs? What did this mean? Chen Ning suddenly remembered that when he gave her the ice fragrance that night, he had said a few words. It was now clearly echoing in her ears, "Don't worry. When you were drunk that day, you said you wanted the ice fragrance and you wanted to collect some eggs. I didn't hear you clearly." The corners of her mouth curled up, and she couldn't help but smile. She really couldn't remember what kind of nonsense she had said when she was drunk. He had heard refrigerator as ice fragrance, and what kind of strange thing was collecting eggs. When she saw Chu Xiaobai, she would definitely ask him clearly. Only, would he appear in front of her again? He had sent the eggs to her door for the past 2 nights, but he did not appear in front of her. This meant that he was still angry at her and did not want to see her at all. "Young miss, this servant will go and collect the eggs. These are all eggs from the heavenly chickens, each one is a treasure." Xiaoru tightly held the basket as she spoke. Chen Ning was currently immersed in her thoughts and gave a soft, sound. She did not pay attention to what Xiaoru was saying. Xiaoru happily placed the eggs in the basket into the cabinet and reached out to pick up the eggs she had placed on the table yesterday. "Eldest miss, why don't this servant collect these eggs as well?" Chen Ning turned around when she heard this. Seeing that Xiaoru had just picked up an egg, her expression instantly changed. "Xiaoru! Don't move. Don't move." Her expression was very nervous. It was like what Xiaoru had picked up was not an egg, but rather a bomb. Xiaoru had never seen this kind of expression from the young miss before. Her heart filled with fear and her hands trembled, causing the egg to fall from her hands. It was a good thing that Chen Ning arrived in time. She reached out her hands to carefully pick up the egg and let out a soft sigh. "Little Ru, do you know that you almost poked a hornet's nest?" "Hornet's nest?" Xiaoru carefully looked at the egg in Chen Ning's hand and scratched her head in confusion. "This isn't a hornet's nest, it's clearly an egg." "Eldest miss, although this servant has never been educated, this servant can clearly distinguish between an egg and a hornet's nest." Chen Ning speechlessly looked at the sky and couldn't help rolling her eyes. "God, quickly take this fool Xiaoru away. Princess consort, is there anything different about these eggs?" It was Chun Tao who was more attentive. She saw that all the eggs on the table had a red dot on them, but the eggs that Xiaoru put in the cupboard did not have one. "Yes, it's different, very different. None of you are allowed to touch these eggs on my table. You're not allowed to even touch them, understand?" Chen Ning had a serious expression as she carefully placed the egg back on the table. These eggs with red dots were the result of her hard work for a day and a night. It was not easy for her to make them. Chu Xiaoyang, she hoped that he would like the gift she had carefully prepared for him. Chapter 162. It was night and it was just past the second watch. Chen Ning quietly left the flowing cloud pavilion by herself and headed straight for the Peach Blossom Cove. She had already asked Xia He to find out that Chu Xiaoyang had been staying in the Peach Blossom Cove for the past few days, not going to Qin Baiyun's intoxicated flower pavilion. It was probably because Qin Baiyun had fallen into the manure pit and he was still brooding over it. This was a golden opportunity given by the heavens. She did not ask anyone to follow her. The 3 maids did not know martial arts, so bringing them along would restrict their movements. Not only would they not be able to help her, they would also fail her at a critical moment. Especially that girl Xiaoru. Of course, she did not reveal the goal of her trip to Xiaoru, otherwise Xiaoru would be worried about her safety and follow behind her. In order to hide her figure, she had changed into a set of black clothes and covered her face with a black cloth, only revealing a pair of black and white eyes. In her pockets, there were 2 red eggs, one on each side. Hey, Chu Xiaoyang, I'll let you have a taste of the secret weapon I've carefully made. Enjoy it." She was very confident in her results. She did not meet any trouble on the way and smoothly sneaked into the Peach Blossom Cove. This was because the guards of the palace would never have thought that someone would be this bold, daring to break into the forbidden area of the palace. Around the Peach Blossom Cove, there was not a single guard. This was because they all knew how strong His Highness' martial arts was and how profound his skills were. Anything that happened within 100 meters would not escape His Highness' ears. If someone dared to sneak into the Peach Blossom Cove, they would be seeking death. It was a pity that everyone in the palace knew about this, only Chen Ning did not. When she sneaked into the Peach Blossom Cove, she was still celebrating her good luck. In fact, when she first jumped into the Peach Blossom Cove, Chu Xiaoyang's ears had already perked up and his brows were slightly raised. He put down the sword he was cleaning and his lips curled into a cold smile. There was actually someone who dared to break into his Peach Blossom Cove. When he heard the footsteps of the person landing, he knew that the person who came was not a strong martial artist, but rather a Jianghu rookie. He couldn't even be considered a rookie. To deal with this kind of person, he did not need to use his weapon at all. There was no need to tarnish his sword. Chen Ning stood on her tiptoes and walked towards the elegant little house in the depths of the Peach Blossom Cove. She could see the light of the little house in the distance. It was very clear that Chu Xiaoyang was staying inside. She was afraid of stepping on the fallen leaves and stones on the ground, so every step she took was extra careful. She lifted her feet high and landed lightly without making a sound. Step by step, she came closer and closer to the little house in the Peach Blossom Cove. Step by step, she came closer and closer to the little house in the Peach Blossom Ning. The night breeze lifted the corner of his robe, and the peach branches swayed slightly from the wind, but he stood steadily, and his body did not sway in the slightest. It was enough to show that his qigong was superb. He looked down from above, looking down at Chen Ning. He looked at Chen Ning's sneaky appearance and suddenly felt it was very funny. Where this stupid thief? How did he manage to sneak into the prince's mansion with his poor qigong? Could it be that the guards of the prince's mansion were freeloaders? A sharp killing intent flashed through his eyes. Anyone who dared to break into the Peach Blossom Cove would die. He suddenly jumped down and his right palm was like a knife as he aimed it at Chen Ling's back. At this moment, Chen Ling suddenly felt a sense of danger. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up. Chapter 163. She didn't even have time to turn around before she felt a large pressure on her back. It was like a large mountain was falling on her and she knew this was bad in her heart. Chu Xiaoyang's lips curled into a taunting smile as his palm touched Chen Ning's back. As long as this palm landed, Chen Ning's organs would shatter and she would die from spitting out blood. At this moment, his eyes lit up. He found that this little thief wearing night clothes had a slender waist and a slender figure. It was actually a girl. Could it be her? A thought flashed through his mind in the blink of an eye. It was too late to withdraw his palm now. In a moment of desperation, he suddenly reached out with his left hand and pushed his right arm. That palm that could shatter stone brushed past Chen Ning's back and with a ping sound, it hit a peach tree to the side. Flower petals fell from the tree like rain, creating a beautiful scene. It was a pity that Chu Xiaoyang and Chen Ning did not have the heart to appreciate this beautiful scene. Chen Ning walked from life to death and from death to life. She was so scared that her body was covered in a cold sweat. She suddenly turned around and her two bright eyes looked at Chu Xiaoyang behind her. Chu Xiaoyang saw that her face was covered with a black cloth. He was first stunned, but then he revealed a faint cold smile. His right palm slashed out and a gust of wind flew out. Chen Ning felt a chill on her face. The black cloth covering her face had been cut off by his palm and it fell to the ground. Her wave-like hair was blown back by the wind from his palm. Her jet-black hair was blown back by the wind and the flower petals fell onto her hair and shoulders. The people and the scenery formed an incomparably beautiful picture. It's her. It's really her. Chu Xiaoyang's eyes were filled with shock as he stared at this scene in a daze. For a moment, he forgot to speak. This is bad, she was discovered. Chen Ning faced Chu Xiaoyang. Although she did not have any expression on her face, many thoughts flashed through her mind. She knew that it was impossible for her to escape from under his eyes, but she was not willing to give up like this. She suddenly looked up and her eyes shined like stars. She reached out to gather her flying hair and revealed a sweet smile to Chu Xiaoyang. This faint smile was like spring returning to the earth, melting the ice and melting the snow. Chu Xiaoyang was dazzled and his heart began to beat faster. At this moment, Chen Ning took out an egg from her pocket. With a wave of her hand, she threw it at Chu Xiaoyang. This is for you. Chu Xiaoyang saw a round thing flying at him. He was cautious and did not dare to catch it with his hand. With a wave of his sleeve, the egg was caught in his sleeve. Holding it in front of his eyes, he saw that it was just an ordinary egg. He was slightly surprised. Hey, girl, don't go, I have to ask you. He looked up and found that Chen Ning had already left, so he quickly chased after her. Good things come in pairs, I'll give you another one. Chen Ning looked back with a smile. She took out another egg and threw it over. This time Chu Xiaoyang reached out to catch it without thinking. He to come to. Chen Ning did not reply. She turned around and sped up. She to him. She was. He had been looking for her for so long and he had finally seen her again, how could he let her escape again? Chu Xiaoyang smiled as he played with the two eggs in his hand. His eyes followed Chen Ning's back the entire time. This game of cat and mouse had just begun and he was very interested in it. He suddenly felt that the egg in his hand was a bit strange. It was like it was boiling hot and he couldn't help looking down. Pang! Chapter 164. Hearing the large explosion behind her, Chen Ning revealed a smile. She wanted to turn around to see what Chu Xiaoyang looked like, but it was too late. This was because she found that there was already a large group of guards coming over after hearing the explosion. Her figure flashed and she hid in the shadows in the corner. Someone come. Someone quickly come. Something has happened. Something has happened to His Highness. Royal Doctor. Quickly call the Royal Doctor. She hid in the shadows and saw groups of people shouting as they charged into the Peach Blossom Cove with panicked expressions. She saw that there was housekeeper Sue and Mother Lin among these people. Not long after, Chen Baiyun's figure also appeared in her line of sight. It really was a pity. She had only brought 2 thunderbolt eggs and had given them to Chu Xiaoyang, otherwise she would have given one to her good little sister to have a taste. Chen Ning gave a regretful sigh. Seeing these people looking like their butts were on fire, she really wanted to see what that unlucky fellow who had been hit by her 2 thunderbolt eggs looked like. But she knew that once she showed herself, she would be discovered. She waited for a while. When the voices quieted down, she quietly slipped out from the corner of the wall, preparing to leave the flowing cloud pavilion without being noticed. Humph! At this moment, her ears suddenly moved and she heard a cold snort. Chen Ning's back instantly turned stiff. There was someone. And this person was right beside her. She suddenly turned around and saw that there was no one behind her, not even a single person. Xiao Bai, stop hiding. I know it's you. Although that laughter was soft, it was very familiar. Other than Chu Xiao Bai, there was no one else. After she said this, she stood in place and silently waited. Who would have thought that after waiting for a while, Chu Xiao Bai would not appear? Xiao Bai, are you still angry with me? Alright, since you're still angry and not willing to see me, then I'll be leaving. She began to walk away. Leave? Do you think you can leave? Chu Xiaobai's voice suddenly came from behind her. Chen Ning turned around again. Chu Xiaobai did not avoid her this time. He just stood in front of her with a cold expression, without a trace of a smile on his face. Seeing him like this, it gave Chen Ning a strange feeling. You really are bold, daring to charge into my third brother's Peach Blossom Cove and wanting to leave like this. Do you think that the guards in my third brother's palace are all useless? I'll bet you that before you even take 3 steps, you will be discovered and captured as an assassin. He stretched out his hand and drew her into the shadow of the corner, and as they stood close together against the wall, the words were spoken almost against her ear. His breath was hot and ticklish behind her ear, and she shivered. Chen Ning's. Xiaobai, are you worried about me? She lowered her voice to a whisper. Chu Xiao Ning gave a cold snort. Chen Ning knew that he was still angry at her, but since he was willing to show himself and secretly give her the egg, it meant that he was just pretending to be angry. Man's face. If you don't say anything, then I'll just walk out like this. I'm not afraid of them capturing me as an assassin. Chen Ning deliberately said. Chu Xiaobai reached out and grabbed her arm. Grinding his teeth, he said, "Stop messing around." He looked around and then said, "This is not the place to talk. I'll bring you out of here first." Draped in a black cloak, he flew up like an eagle, wrapped her in it, and leaped over the wall with her. Chapter 165. Chen Ning couldn't help asking, "Your leg. Is it better?" She noticed that he was using his left foot when he landed and not his injured right leg. "Are you worried about me?" His eyes sparkled as he looked at her. There was a strange flame dancing in his eyes. Chen Ning bit her lips and turned her head to the side. This brat had become bad, he wasn't cute at all. Chu Xiaobai had a serious and cold expression on his face, but because of her words, his mood couldn't help becoming better. His lips curled into a faint smile. He had been attracted over by the 2 explosions. When he rushed over, he saw Chen Ning hiding in the shadows in the corner. Not far away were the palace guards holding torches and rushing over. He could almost immediately determine that Chen Ning was the culprit behind the explosions. Chu Xiaobai couldn't help feeling both funny and angry. The funny thing was that she was really strange, actually running over to deal with his third brother. He was angry because she really was too daring. Did she think that with her mediocre martial arts, she would be able to win against his third brother? He had a deep brotherly love and wanted to see his third brother's injuries. With that kind of explosion, perhaps his third brother would be seriously injured. But he heard Chu Xiaoyang's angry roar. "Search! If you can't catch the assassin, then bring your heads to see this king. Even if I have to dig 3 feet into the ground, this king will dig her out." Ze, it was clear that he was extremely angry just hearing this. Chu Xiaobai's heart fell back into his stomach. His third brother could still curse at him, which meant that he was fine. However, his eyes looked over Chen Ning. If this girl was caught by the guards, his third brother would not let her off. Especially when he saw that she actually wanted to sneak out, he really couldn't hold it in anymore. There were so many guards in the garden now, as long as she took 2 steps, she would be discovered. This girl, she really didn't know her limits. "Hey, where are you taking me?" Chen Ning felt the wind blow past her ears and the flowers and trees under her feet fly by. Chu Xiaobai was bringing her over the walls and she couldn't help feeling a bit flustered. He wouldn't be planning on taking her away and not letting her return to the king's palace, right? Chu Xiaobai put on a serious face and did not reply. He wanted to find a quiet place to properly teach her a lesson. "Xiaobai, your qigong is really good. Even with your leg injured, you can still run like you're flying. Seeing that Chu Xiaobai was ignoring her, Chen Ning was not angry and she praised him with a smile. She quickly fell in love with the feeling of flying in the air. It would be great if she could use Qigong. A thought suddenly appeared in her mind. Humph. Chu Xiaobai gave another snort, but his heart was filled with sweetness. It was like he had eaten a candy covered in honey and his lips slightly curled up. We're here. He suddenly stopped moving. A large body of water appeared in front of Chen Ning. It was at least 10 times larger than the little mirror lake in the King Ding Yuan Palace, and there was a bright moon reflected on the surface of the lake. There was a small boat on the shore. Chu Xiaobai gently pulled her and they landed on the small boat. He picked up the bamboo pole and broke the surface of the water. The boat quietly rowed out. On the pond, there was a gentle breeze and the moonlight reflected off the water. Chu Xiaobai did not say a word and Chen Ning did not say a word. She was already intoxicated by the beautiful scenery in front of her. Chapter 166. The island was filled with green bamboo. As the wind blew, the bamboo leaves rustled. A white cobblestone path wound through the bamboo forest, leading to an unknown place. The green grass on the ground was soft, as if he was stepping on a plush carpet. This was simply a paradise. Chen Ning's eyes opened wide in surprise and joy. Xiaobai, what is this place? It's so beautiful. Chu Xiaobai's face was not beautiful, but rather it was very ugly. Do you hate my third brother that much that you have to kill him? He said through gritted teeth. He thought of that giant explosion and he really did not know how this girl managed to do it. Although his third brother did not die, he was not having a good time right now, otherwise his third brother would not have roared out like an enraged lion. Chen Ning found it funny looking at his resentful face and comforted him. Relax, he won't die, he will just suffer a bit. If we let him die this easily, wouldn't that be letting him off easy? This scumbag, he actually kicked her into the lake. If she didn't know how to swim, she would have already become a water ghost in the lake. She couldn't bear to kill him this quickly. Chu Xiaobai's heart felt like it was filled with cotton, not being able to go up or down. You. He opened his mouth and swallowed his words back down several times. Didn't you say it very nicely before, helping reason and not family? Why are you regretting it now? Is it because you saw your third brother suffer a loss, so you want to help your third brother deal with an outsider like me? Chen Ning looked at him and her lips curled into a faint mocking smile. She had already guessed that no matter how good he was to her, he could not compare to his third brother in his heart. Stop wrongly accusing me, the one I'm worried about is you. Chu Xiaobai gritted his teeth and his handsome brows jumped up. His beautiful black eyes were filled with rage. He grabbed her arms and used a lot of strength that she couldn't help frowning. You really are bold. Do you know how high my third brother's martial arts are? You want to plot against him with your skills. You're really dreaming. You're really lucky to be able to live this time. Chu Xiaobai was very angry. He was angry that she did not know the severity of the situation and was too bold. She could escape this time, but what about next time? What if he did not appear? Under his aggressive gaze, Chen Ning looked down and closed her mouth without saying a word. He was not wrong. In fact, when she thought back to the situation, she was filled with fear. When that sharp sense of danger and murderous aura came from behind her, she realized how big of a mistake she had made. She had underestimated Chu Xiaoyang's martial arts too much. She didn't expect that the martial arts described in the books about internal energy masters who could pick up flowers and leaves and distinguish shapes by sound were all real. This Chu Xiaoyang's martial arts could only be described as unfathomable. But she was really a newborn calf that was not afraid of a tiger. She treated a tiger like a sick cat and even wanted to pluck its fur from its tail. If this wasn't seeking death, then what was? What if Chu Xiaoyang's palm did not hit the peach tree and instead hit her back? What if Chu Yang's palm was with her back and... Although she was in a moment of desperation and threw out 2 thunderbolt eggs, she had also exposed her true face in front of Chu Xiaoyang. She was now living under the same roof as him. They would see each other all the time and one day they would meet again. If Chu Xiaoyang found out that she was the one who blew his face up, he would pull out his tendons and skin himself alive. Perhaps he would have even more powerful methods to deal with her. Chapter 167. Now that you know fear, it's too late. In this world, no one that offends my third brother will have a good ending. My third brother is a very petty person, you better pray to the gods that he will never find you. Chu Xiaobai looked at her, not ignoring her slight tremble. Although his words were cold, he took off his black cloak and placed it over her shoulders. Chen Ning's heart felt warm. Xiaobai, you will help me, right? She suddenly turned her head and revealed a gentle smile to him. His heart skipped a beat and his breathing stopped as he gave a snort. You want me to help you deal with third brother? I can't do that. He had an expressionless face as he rejected her. Did this girl think that just by smiling at him, she could make them fight each other? He could help her tease his third brother and watch his third brother make a fool of himself, but if someone wanted to harm his third brother's life, he, Chu Xiaobai, would not agree. Even she could not. Chen Ning was not angry and said with a faint smile, Xiaobai, your Qinggong is very good. Are you willing to teach me Qinggong? Learn Qinggong. Chu Xiaobai was stunned and turned to look at her. You said I'll help you. Is that teaching you Qinggong? That's right. Chen Ning raised her brows and sat down on the grass without a care in the world. She pulled out a blade of grass and chewed it before spitting it out. Her movements were very natural, without the slightest bit of pretense. It was completely different from those well-behaved young ladies that he was used to seeing. Why do you want to learn Qinggong? He sat down next to her, standing shoulder to shoulder with her. Of course it's to escape. Chen Ning giggled and stuck out her tongue. I've offended your third brother today, so I'm afraid that when he sees me next time, he will choke me to death. If I had a Qinggong like yours, even if I can't beat him, I can still run. Chu Xiaobai was angry and amused at the same time. Did she think that Qinggong was something that could be learned so easily? If she wanted to escape from his third brother, she wouldn't be able to do it even if she practiced for 10 years. However, if she really learned Qinggong, if she encountered danger, she would have another way to save her life. All right, I'll teach you. He nodded without any hesitation. Chen Ning was a little excited. Is Qinggong hard to learn? Of course it's not hard. Chu Xiaobai replied without even thinking. It was indeed very easy for him, but, do you know internal energy? Actually he did not need to ask to know that she did not have any internal energy. She knew some ordinary fist and leg skills, but in the eyes of martial arts experts like him and his third brother, those skills were like child's moves, not worth mentioning. Not at all. Chen Ning honestly shook her head. If you don't have internal energy to support it, it will be hard to reach the peak of Qinggong. Chu Xiaobai was a bit troubled. He thought about it and said, how about I teach you an internal cultivation technique first? Chen Ning's eyes lit up. Of course she wanted to learn internal energy, but she knew from the books that internal energy had to be cultivated step by step. There was no such thing as overnight success. I don't need to reach the peak. I just need to be able to run faster than I am now. If that's the case, it'll be much simpler. I'll teach you the introductory mantra of Qinggong now. Chu Xiaobai thought about it for a bit. You have to remember it well, I'll only say it once. If you're too stupid to remember it, I won't teach you a second time. He deliberately said. Alright, then listen carefully. There are a total of 8 chants. Chu Xiaobai said in a clear voice, clear qi makes the body light, muddy qi makes the body heavy. Alright, then listen carefully. There are a total of 8 chants. Chu Xiaobai said in a clear voice, clear air makes the body light, muddy air makes the body heavy. Some have a body as light as a swallow, some have a body as heavy as duckweed. Some have a body as light as a swallow, some have a body as light as duckweed. Achieving the flying eaves technique, each has its own good fortune. His words were very clear, but he spoke very quickly. After he finished, he looked at Qin Ning with eyes filled with malicious intent. Chapter 168. Che, isn't it just 8 sentences? It's not like it's 80,000 words, how could she not remember it? Chen Ning rolled her eyes at him and impatiently said, I remember. Is that all? Is there more? Chu Xiaobai looked at her with a strange look, of course there is more. Listen well. Lifting something heavy as if it's nothing, running across the grass like a god. Remember that you don't need to train your hands and learn to balance by watching a dragonfly. Using true qi to lift your chest, you can jump through the air like a god. A reed can cross a river with a leaf, it's all about balance. I remember. Is there more? Chen Ning nodded again. This was not difficult for her at all. Chu Xiaobai was stunned this time. He looked at her with a bit of disbelief. You really remember it all? He considered himself to be extremely intelligent. When he was learning this set of Qinggong chants, his master had only read it twice and he had memorized it without missing a single word. His master had once praised him greatly. But she was actually able to remember it after only one time. This immediately made him very unconvinced. Alright, the following chant is a bit long, so you have to listen carefully. I'll only say it once and if you can't remember it, you have to call me good big brother 10 times. No problem. Chen Ning agreed without any hesitation. He looked at her slightly raised chin and her proud tone and he couldn't help feeling competitive. A body as light as a swallow, a crane flying through the sky. He did not stop as he continued to recite it. This chant had a total of 700 words and it had taken him an incense stick of time to memorize it without missing a single word. He did not believe that she would really remember it if he only said it once. She would definitely call him good big brother 10 times. Success cannot be shown on the outside, cultivating qi to protect the body. He finished reciting the last line of the incantation, and then looked at her with a smile. Chen Ning slightly closed her eyes and silently recited it. Seeing her serious expression, Chu Xiaobai couldn't help finding it funny. If you can memorize it without missing a single word, I'm willing to take you as my master. He said with a smile and a confident look on his face. Chen Ning suddenly opened her eyes and revealed a smile at him. Her red lips slightly parted, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. Xiaobai, a gentleman's words cannot be taken back. Can you not regret it? Of course I won't regret it, but if you can't memorize it, you can't call me Xiaobai anymore. You have to call me good big brother. He revealed a mischievous smile. It's a deal. Chen Ning blinked and revealed a smile. Good disciple, just wait to call me master. The body is as light as a swallow's body. She began to recite slowly. Her voice was crisp and clear. At first, she spoke slowly, but later, she became faster and more fluent. It was like a stream rushing out of a valley and splashing onto a rock. She spoke so fast that he almost couldn't catch her. She quickly recited the last line, you can't be shown on the outside, cultivating qi can't be seen. There was not a single correct. Xiao xiao qin xiao xiao, ta good. Xiao, Xiao T. Xiao. Chu ninked. Said. No. Chu Xiaobai gritted his teeth and turned his face to the side. I Ning. He said, I! Exclamation point. Would he be able to raise his head in front of her if he called her that? Hey, Xiaobai, you're a man, you can't go back on your words. Chen Ning stood on her tiptoes with a smile and pulled his chin to face her. Do you want to go back on your words? I'm going back on my words, what can you do? Chu Xiaobai angrily glared at her. Under the starlight, her slightly raised face was very beautiful. Her eyes were like stars in a cold pond and her lips were filled with a faint smile. She was like a flower that was about to bloom, looking very beautiful. Chapter 169. Alright, I won't call you if you don't want to, it's not a big deal. Hey, Xiaobai, you've taught me Qigong, where should I start practicing? Her eyes were magnanimous, and her eyes were as clear as water with a smile on her face. Chu Xiaobai couldn't help feeling ashamed for having such thoughts. He put away his thoughts and said with a serious expression, now I'll teach you a few things, you have to learn them properly. One teaching, one learning, time flew by without them knowing it. The eastern sky was turning white and the sky was becoming brighter. Chu Xiaobai said, this is enough for you to practice for 3 months. As long as you practice hard in these 3 months, your Qigong will reach the small success realm. Her cleverness was a great surprise to him. The things he had taught her in these 4 hours, it would have taken him 3 days to remember in the past. But as long as he said it once, she would remember it all. Xiaobai, thank you. Chen Ning also felt that she had learned a lot from this night. She looked up at him with a faint smile. Humph, if you can't reach the floating duckweed crossing stage in 3 months, this master will kick you out. He said with a serious expression. A good teacher produces a good disciple. If I can't reach the small success realm, it's not that I'm not skilled enough, but rather that your teacher isn't good enough. I'm a lowly person, a hidden master. She smiled and made a face at him. Chu Xiaobai didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He would never gain the upper hand in bickering with her. Chen Ning used her arms as a pillow and laid down on the lush green grass, watching the stars disappear into the sky one by one. He sat beside her, watching the calm mirror-like lake. But his heart was in turmoil, not being calm at all. He had already made up his mind to never see her again, but he could not control his steps or his heart. He couldn't help secretly looking at her every night, wandering outside her window, but never taking a single step into her room. That night, she had used a cruel and heartless method to reject him. He was a man, he had a man's pride and dignity, he would never beg her for charity. If he hadn't seen her in a dangerous situation tonight, if he hadn't seen her personally teach his third brother a fierce lesson, he would never have shown himself. He wanted to save her and leave, but because of her words of concern, he was once again filled with hope. She was worried about his injuries. Did that mean that in her heart, other than his third brother, he also had a place? He. It was unknown what Chen Ning was thinking, but she suddenly began to laugh. What's so funny? He turned to look at her and said with a faint smile. I'm thinking about your third brother. Her eyes curved as she smiled. Chu Xiaobai's face turned dark and his heart felt like it. Right now, his heart and eyes were filled with her figure. She was clearly by his side, but the person he was thinking of was his third brother. Moreover, why was she smiling so happily when he was mentioned? You don't hate my third brother. Chen ttu. His heart ached as if it was being bitten by a poisonous snake called jealousy. Third. Otherwise, why wouldn't she accept him? Why wouldn't she leave the cage-like prince's mansion? His hand gripped the grass on the ground and unknowingly exerted force. He was completely unaware that his hand was stained with the green juice of the grass. Chapter 170. Thank me. Thank him for sending her back to his third brother's side. Chu Xiaobai gritted his teeth again. Thank you for the eggs you gave me. If I didn't see them, I wouldn't have thought of that good idea. It's a pity I didn't see his current appearance. He was hit by 2 of my thunderbolt eggs, so he would definitely look very good right now. Chen Ning couldn't stop giggling. She felt like the anger in her heart had finally been released. Chu Xiaobai felt like his chest was filled with even more pain. Teasing my third brother and seeing him suffer, does that make you very happy? He held his breath and looked at her without blinking. He really liked seeing her smile, especially this kind of smile that came from the heart. It was bright and beautiful, making him feel like the entire sky was lit up. But her smile was not because of him, but rather because of his third brother. That's right, of course I'm happy. Then when you're with me, are you happy? Chu Xiaobai suddenly asked. Chen Ning was a bit stunned, but then she slowly nodded. She did not deny it and did not want to deny it. When she saw him again, her heart was filled with joy. She was relaxed and there was even a trace of joy. Chu Xiaobai's heart began to beat faster. Then do you like me or my third brother? He blurted out. This question had been in his heart for a long time. After a long time, he finally asked it out. After asking it, his face couldn't help turning red as he nervously looked at her. Like your third brother. Chen Ning blinked. Chu Xiaobai's heart suddenly sank and the glow on his face disappeared. How is this possible? She suddenly smiled and opened her eyes wide like he had asked a very funny question. I like him. Xiaobai, you actually asked this kind of question. Are you stupid or am I stupid? I like him. Not in this lifetime. His eyes instantly lit up. Then the person you like is me, right? He held his breath as he asked, not daring to blink. I really like you. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile, but it's just like. He suddenly approached her and threatened, if you dare say I'm like a little brother again, I'll. He fiercely stared at her and grinded his teeth. All right, I won't say it. Chen Ning pursed her lips into a smile. Even if you don't say it, you can't say it in your heart. Chen Ning nodded again with a smile in her clear eyes. He stared at her eyes, which were more beautiful than the stars in the sky. He suddenly had an urge to hug her and kiss her eyes. His arms moved slightly, but he forced himself not to. He told himself that he absolutely could not. But if she continued to look at him like this, he couldn't guarantee what he would do next. He suddenly felt that he was very stupid. Last time, he actually left in a huff because of what she said. She clearly liked him. The light kiss she left on his cheek made him reminisce for a long time. If she didn't like him, why would she kiss him? If she didn't admit it, he wouldn't force her. Because her current identity was his third brother's princess. If he really wanted to be with her, he had to help her get rid of this identity and regain her freedom. However, the marriage between her and third brother was personally decreed by the emperor. Words of gold and jade carried enormous weight. There was absolutely no going back on it. When he thought of the emperor, he suddenly felt a chill in his heart, and all his enthusiasm was frozen into ice. In the future, if you're unhappy, I'll bring you here, all right? He steeled his heart and threw all his unhappiness and worries to the back of his mind. He just wanted to make her smile happily. Chapter 171. All right. Chen Ning smiled and suddenly gave a large yawn. She felt a wave of fatigue wash over her. She had already not slept for 2 days and 2 nights. There was a gentle breeze here, the environment was quiet, and the green grass was like a bed that tempted her. Xiao Bai, send me back. I'm tired. She gently leaned against his shoulder and closed her eyes. Chu Xiaobai responded, but his body did not move at all. He was reluctant to leave. As long as she was by his side, he would feel warm and sweet. Once he thought of sending her back to his third brother's side, his heart felt suffocated. Chen Ning only wanted to pretend to sleep for a bit, but as soon as she closed her eyes, she fell into a deep sleep. Not being able to hear her speak, Chu Xiaobai turned to look and found that she had actually fallen asleep on his shoulder. Her sleeping face was very calm, as if she was having a good dream. Her lips were slightly curled up, just like a bright red water chestnut. His heart suddenly began to beat faster and his mouth became dry. He wanted to look away, but he couldn't bear to. There was a small voice in his heart that kept telling him, "Kiss her, just secretly kiss her." She definitely wouldn't know. He was bewitched by this voice and slowly leaned over to her. Unknowingly, he was getting closer and closer to her, until her red lips were right in front of him. As long as he slightly lowered his head, he would be able to touch them. A faint sweet scent filled the air. A few strands of her hair were blown by the wind and they flew across his face, making him feel very itchy. There was also a little bug in his heart that was making him feel very itchy. He closed his eyes and was prepared to kiss her lips no matter what, wanting to taste the feeling he had been craving for a long time. A gentle breeze came and she shivered a bit. She suddenly turned around and shrunk into his embrace, as if she was seeking warmth. This action caused his entire body to stiffen up. His arms were straight and tightly pressed against his thighs, afraid that he would accidentally touch her body. There was a fire burning in his heart that almost melted him. She was in his arms, but he didn't dare to hug her. He was still young and full of vigor, how could he resist the temptation of a soft and fragrant body? He was afraid that if he hugged her, he would do something he would regret for the rest of his life. But he couldn't bear to let him leave. Only the heavens knew that this kind of situation had happened countless times in his dreams, but when he woke up, he found that it was all just a dream. His heart was being tortured and every moment was a kind of sweet torture for him. Chen Ning leaned into his embrace, sleeping sweetly. In the early morning of spring, birds were chirping in the treetops. Chen Ning was woken up by the chirping of birds outside the window. She opened her eyes in a daze. When she saw that she had returned to her room in the flowing cloud pavilion, she was not surprised. She was still wearing the same black outfit from last night. It was neat and tidy. Even the knot on the belt was personally tied by her and had not been untied at all. Chen Ning sat up and revealed a faint smile. This Xiao Bai was really a gentleman who abided by etiquette. He did not take advantage of her when she was asleep to do anything improper. Princess consort, princess consort. Suddenly there was the sound of hurried footsteps, followed by the sound of banging on the door. Chapter 172. What Highness? Which Highness? Chen Ning had just woken up, so she was still in a daze. Suddenly she came to a realization and jumped out of bed. Her eyes opened wide. This was the King Ding Yuan Palace, so what other highness could there be? Naturally it was Chu Xiaoyang. Damn, why would Chu Xiaoyang come to the flowing cloud pavilion? He must be here to settle accounts with her. This was the first thought that flashed in Chen Ning's mind. No, she had to quickly escape. Chen Ning opened the window and wanted to jump out. But thinking about it, that wasn't right. Chu Xiaoyang could not find out who she was in a single night. Don't panic, don't panic. She couldn't panic in front of that scum and reveal a flaw. She couldn't help despising herself. If she ran away, wouldn't it be like she had a guilty conscience? It would make it easier for her to bear Chu Xiaoyang's suspicions. She gave a gentle cough and walked over to open the door. She calmly looked at Chun Tao and said in a calm voice, "Isn't it just Chu Xiaoyang coming? What is there to be surprised about?" Seeing your panicked appearance, this princess thought that a wild boar had entered our courtyard. Hearing Chen Ning's words, Chun Tao revealed an awkward expression. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Her face was red with excitement. This was the first time she had seen His Highness come to visit the princess. As a maid of the king's palace, of course she hoped that the princess and His Highness could reconcile. If the princess obtained His Highness' favor, then the status of the maids in the palace would rise. What is he doing here so early in the morning? Tell him that I have a cold and won't see him. Chen Ning lazily said. Princess consort, His Highness heard that you were sick, so he personally came to see you. Princess consort, this servant will go get some water for you to freshen up and then go out to greet His Highness. Chun Tao was not willing to let Chen Ning miss this heaven-sent opportunity. His legs are on his body. It was him who came to see me, not this princess who invited him, so why should this princess go out to greet him? Tell him that this princess is sick and cannot get out of bed. If he isn't afraid of this princess' illness, then he can come in. Chen Ning looked around and saw Chu Xiaoyang's figure appear in her line of sight. She suddenly realized that she was still wearing her night clothes, and her face was clean without any disguise. This is bad. There was no time to change clothes now. She rushed over to the dresser to grab a box of rouge and jumped onto the bed. Then she jumped onto the bed and jumped onto the bed. This series of actions were very clean, but before she could even catch her breath, she heard the door open and Chu Xiaoyang walked in with large steps. Although Chen Ning really wanted to open the bed and see what Chu of Chu Xiaoning looked like with, she was, Chu Xiaoyang's Chen Ning's face. It was up. As soon as he entered the yard, he heard the conversation between Chen Ning and Chun Tao. Hearing that Chen Ning compared him to a wild boar, his chest almost exploded with rage. Towards Chen Ning's sharp tongue, he was already a bit used to it. If she was willing to say good things about him, then it would be strange. Up. As soon as he entered the room, his hazy eyes stared straight at the bed curtains. He did not even look at Chun Tao. Chun Tao shivered and hurriedly retreated. Chapter 173. He stood there without moving and his hands slowly clenched into fists. A pair of cold eyes stared at the hazy figure in the curtains without blinking. Through the curtains, Chen Ning could still feel the cold air coming from him. She couldn't help pulling up the blanket. What was he pulling? She disapprovingly curled her lips. She waited for a long time, but Chu Xiaoyang did not say anything. Chen Ning was also a bit unsure of why he was here. Your Highness heard that this princess was sick and came to visit. I'm sorry, this princess has a cold and can't get out of bed, so I can't entertain your Highness. Your Highness can sit by yourself. Chen Ning's lazy voice came through the curtains, sounding a bit hoarse. She had just woken up and had not even drunk any water, so her voice was not as clear and bright as usual. This voice. Chu Xiaoyang slightly knit his brows. He was a bit uncertain. In a single night, his guards had already turned the entire palace upside down, but they still could not find the black-clothed female assassin. In the entire palace, there was only one place that had not been searched. That was the Flowing Cloud Pavilion. There was only one person that had not been interrogated. That was his princess, Chen Ning. Chu Xiaoyang thought about it. From beginning to end, he had not seen what his princess' face looked like. He had never looked straight at her. Whenever he looked at her from the corner of his eye, he would always see that red and white painted face that was uglier than a monkey's butt. It made him feel disgusted and he did not want to take another look. Could it be that the girl that appeared twice in the Peach Blossom Cove was Chen Ning? This thought suddenly entered his mind and he could not get rid of it. He endured and endured, but he finally could not suppress the doubts in his heart. He decided to personally come to the Flowing Cloud Pavilion to see what was going on. I've heard that the princess has a cold, but is it serious? This king wants to see the princess' complexion. Chu Xiaoyang dryly said. His eyes stared at the curtains as he took a step forward and pulled open the curtains. Chen Ning was lying on the bed with the blanket covering her body, only revealing her face. His face was covered with red spots that were densely packed together, looking abnormally terrifying. Seeing her face, Chu Xiaoyang's brows jumped up and he almost spat out blood. You! How did your face become like this? He forced himself to take a second look and the veins on his forehead popped out. Chen Ning innocently blinked her eyes and said with a smile, me becoming like this, isn't it all thanks to your highness? If it wasn't for you kicking me into the lake, how could I become like this? I don't know what kind of bugs were in the lake, but they bit me until I had red bumps all over my body. Once the wind blows, it hurts and itches. I've been lying on this bed for 3 whole days, not daring to get off the bed or lift the curtains. Speaking of which, this is all thanks to your grace, your highness. Chen Ning, Chen Ning, flowing Chen of a flowing. Chen of. That damned woman, offending this king, this is what you deserve. Chen, king, of this of, Ning, of, Chen of. Shen, he of Ning of him, king, he of. From the moment he came in to the moment he left, he had only stayed for a cup of tea's worth of time. It wasn't her, the girl that threw the egg at him was not her. Chapter 174. After Chu Xiaoyang left, the first thing Chen Ning did was throw off the blankets and jump off the bed. She quickly changed out of her night clothes, but she did not wash off the red rouge on her face. She was worried that Chu Xiaoyang would come back. Young miss. Xiao Ru charged in from outside. Her round little face was filled with worry. This servant went to the garden to pick some flowers. I heard from elder sister Chun Tao that His Highness came to see you. Did he make things difficult for you? Did he scold you or hit you? Ah, God. Young miss, you. How did your face become like this? When she saw Chen Ning, her mouth turned into a circle. Then she angrily clenched her fists and angrily shouted, Did His Highness hit you? Did he hit your face like this? His Highness, he really isn't human. He is a bastard highness. This servant will go fight with him. Her face turned red, and she turned around and rushed out like a flaming arrow. Chen Ning quickly called out to her, Xiao Ru, stop, you're not allowed to go anywhere. My face is fine, it wasn't hit by that bastard highness. If it wasn't hit by him, then how did your face become like this? Xiao Ru looked at Chen Ning's face in pain. Her eyes were red and she was almost crying as she blinked. Stupid girl, it's fake. I put some rouge on it to scare that bastard highness, otherwise why would he leave so quickly? Chen Ning smiled as she scratched Xiao Ru's nose. So it was done by the young miss. You scared this servant to death. Xiao Ru's tears turned into a smile. Chen Ning gave a gentle laugh. You're not allowed to make a fuss like this in the future. No matter what happens in the future, you have to remain calm, do you understand? Yes, young miss. This servant will remember. Xiao Ru wiped her eyes and nodded with a smile. Did you see that bastard Highness face just now? Chen Ning giggled as she asked. When Xiao Ru heard this, her brows instantly lit up. I saw it. When this servant came back, I saw His Highness coming out. This servant was shocked and almost didn't recognize His Highness. His face was covered in bruises, like he had been punched several times. God, young miss, was it you who hit His Highness' face? Xiao Ru looked at Xiao Ru and Xiao Ru. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and did not say anything. Why did Chu Xiaoyang become like this? Of course it was because of her thunderbolt egg. However, his injuries were much lighter than she had expected. It seemed like his martial arts were too strong, so he did not injure his vital parts. It seemed like she had to find a way to increase the power of the thunderbolt egg. After eating breakfast, Chen Ning wanted to practice the qigong she learned from Chu Xiao by last night, but she saw Xia He come in with a happy face to report to her. Reporting to the princess consort, this is a joyous occasion. The eldest princess has come to see you, her phoenix carriage has already arrived at our door. Her eyes were filled with light. To be able to make the eldest princess come to see her twice, the princess consort's face was quite big. This matter had already been spread throughout the king's palace and no one would dare to bully the princess consort in the future. Perhaps even His Highness would look at the princess consort in a different light from now on. The eldest princess is here. Chen Ning thought about it and guessed the general situation. She stood up with a smile and said, "Come with me to welcome the eldest princess." This princess does not need to be welcomed, she has already come uninvited. Chapter 175. The eldest princess was wearing a new set of large red hunting clothes. She was very eye-catching and attracted everyone's attention as soon as she came in. She was in high spirits and had a heroic appearance. Not only did she have the valiance of a man, she also had the beauty of a woman. Compared to the depressed and expressionless eldest princess from last time, she was like a completely different person. Greetings to the eldest princess. The girls in the room did not dare look as they all bowed down. The eldest princess only looked at Chen Ning. She took a step forward and grabbed Chen Ning's hand, pulling her up. We are all a family, so you don't need to greet this princess like this in the future, do you understand? The three maids kneeling on the ground couldn't help secretly clicking their tongues. The eldest princess' words were filled with intimacy. She was clearly treating the princess consort as one of her own. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile. Before she could say anything, the eldest princess said, "This princess has something to say to little sister Ning alone, you can all leave." Little sister Ning. They almost suspected that they had heard wrong. The eldest princess was actually calling the princess consort little sister? Wasn't this a difference in seniority? The three of them kowtowed and left. When they left, they felt like they were dreaming. In the room, the eldest princess was holding Chen Ning's hand, but she was smiling without saying a word. Her heart was filled with excitement and she did not know what to say for a while. Although she did not say anything, Chen Ning could see that her eyes, eyebrows, and even every strand of her hair were expressing her joy. Congratulations to the eldest princess for fulfilling your wish. This minister's concubine wishes the eldest princess and young master Yi can finally be together, hoping to be together forever. Chen Ning once again bowed down to the eldest princess. She had already guessed everything in her heart. The eldest princess pulled her up. After a while, she excitedly said, "Good little sister, it's all thanks to the good method you taught me. My royal brother has already given the decree to marry Yi Tingxian and in 3 months, it will be my wedding ceremony. I came here today to thank little sister. If it wasn't for little sister, I wouldn't be here today." When Chen Ning heard this, she couldn't help feeling happy for the eldest princess. But hearing the eldest princess call her little sister, she couldn't help laughing. Eldest princess, this minister's concubine is your junior. According to seniority, this concubine should call you royal aunt. You calling me little sister, this. I'm afraid it's not appropriate, right? What's wrong with it? This princess is only a few years older than you. Could it be that you don't want to be my younger sister and want me to call you older sister? The eldest princess raised her brows in disapproval, not hiding her love for Chen Ning at all. This princess likes you. I like having you as my little sister. If anyone isn't willing, tell them to come find this princess. Chen Ning shook her head with a smile and said, this junior does not dare. What minister, concubine, junior? You're not allowed to say anything in the future. In front of me, you are this princess' little sister. The eldest princess waved her hand. Seeing that Chen Ning did not say anything, her brows jumped up. Could it be that you think this princess is not worthy of you calling me sister? Chen Ning really liked her forthright attitude. She came from the modern era and had received the education of equality since she was young. After transmigrating, she had to follow a bunch of messy rules and etiquette. She had long been bored to death. It was rare to meet a princess royal who did not care about etiquette. She pursed her lips into a smile and said, if I call you elder sister, wouldn't Chu Xiaoyang have to call me aunt when he sees me? Chapter 176. Well said. Ha, ha, this princess really wants to see that brat call you aunt. How about we go see that brat right now and have him call you aunt in front of you? She was someone who would do what she said, so she pulled Chen Ning out. Chen Ning was shocked. She did not plan on seeing Chu Xiaoyang right now. She rolled her eyes and said with a smile, eldest princess, I don't want to see him. Why? The eldest princess turned around in a daze and suddenly noticed the strange look on Chen Ning's face. She said in a surprised voice, what happened to your face? Chen Ning finally realized that the disguise on her face had not been washed off. She suddenly thought of something and said, this was done by your nephew. The eldest princess immediately knit her brows, he did it. Chen Ning shook her head. She told the eldest princess about how Chu Xiaoyang had kicked her into the lake last time, fiercely accusing Chu Xiaoyang. After the eldest princess heard this, she pulled out her sword and waved it twice. That stinky brat, he has eyes but can't see the golden jade, mistaking the rubble for a pearl. He has eyes but can't see. He ignored a good girl like you and went to spoil your little sister. Although this princess has never seen her before, I know that she is not a good thing, humph. Little sister Ning, just you wait, this princess will go beat that brat up and help you vent your anger. If he dares to bully you again and make a move against you, just tell this princess. If this princess can't deal with him, then I'll tell my royal brother and have my royal brother beat his butt. She angrily stormed out. Chen Ning shouted, eldest princess, eldest princess. Then she chased after her. The eldest princess moved like she was flying, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Chen Ning stopped and her lips curled into a faint smile. She calmly walked back, not worried that Chu Xiaoyang would eat a beating from the eldest princess at all. He only had himself to blame. Young miss, the eldest princess' expression is not good. Princess consort, the eldest princess seems to be angry. The three maids saw that the eldest princess came with a happy expression and left with an angry expression, so their hearts were filled with anxiety. They surrounded Chen Ning and asked her with a worried expression. Chen Ning raised her brows and said in an uncaring voice, that's right, the eldest princess is angry. The three of them looked like they were about to meet a disaster. What are you afraid of? Chen Ning laughed, the eldest princess is angry at His Highness, not this princess. Hearing this, the three of them patted their chests and let out a sigh. But Chen Ning's pride did not last long. After eating dinner, she heard a piece of bad news. She stumbled and gasped as she charged in. The expression on her was not good, but she was not good. She stumbled through the door, gasping for breath. The expression on her face was no longer one of surprise, but one of shock. In a single day, His Highness had come to the Flowing Cloud Pavilion twice. This was something she would never have dared to dream about before. He'd come again. Chen Kn. Could it be that he had been taught a lesson by the eldest princess and was now here to denounce her? She came. Yang. Chen Ning. Chu Xiaoyang came in like a gust of wind, appearing behind Chen Ning with a dark expression. Chen Ning sat in front of the table without moving, not even lifting her butt. She looked at Chu Xiaoyang in the mirror and curled her lips into a smile. Your Highness has come to the Flowing Cloud Pavilion again. Could it be that the food in the intoxicated flower pavilion is too good and Your Highness has come here to digest it? Chapter 177. Chu Xiaoyang was not stupid. He immediately understood Chen Ning's meaning and became even angrier. He clenched his fists and resisted the urge to strangle her. He angrily asked, "You reported this king to my royal aunt. If it wasn't for her reporting, the eldest princess would not have left the Flowing Cloud Pavilion to find him. First she would have given him a torrent of curses, making him unable to understand what was going on. Before he even had time to explain, the eldest princess had already pulled out her sword and started fighting without saying a word. He did not dare to use his weapon against the eldest princess, so he could only dodge left and right. The eldest princess' clothes were filled with holes and there were countless sword marks on his body. Even his jet black hair had been cut off and he was in a very sorry state. It was a good thing that the eldest princess only wanted to teach him a lesson and not take his life, otherwise he would have lost an arm or a leg. Thinking about it, he knew that the culprit was without a doubt Chen Ning. Chen Ning lazily turned around and her lips curled into a faint smile. She asked in reply, "Reporting. Only those who have been wronged will report. Your Highness insists that this princess reported you. Could it be that Your Highness has done something wrong to this princess?" You. Chu Xiaoyang choked. He never knew that his princess had such a sharp tongue, but in the wedding hall, her lips were like arrows and her tongue was like a knife. Every word stabbed into his weak points, making him feel pain in his heart. This time, he had once again experienced the power of her mouth. Chu Xiaoyang knew that he could not win against her. The most important thing was that he knew that he had not been beaten unjustly. He had kicked her into the water. If she did not know how to swim, she would have already drowned in the lake. If his uncle, the emperor, knew of this matter, he would definitely give him a fierce lesson. Only when the emperor taught him a lesson, he would not be as gentle as the eldest princess. Thinking of the emperor's methods, Chu Xiaoyang's anger instantly subsided. It's already late and this princess is going to sleep. Your Highness has not left. Could it be that you want to stay in my Flowing Cloud Pavilion for the night? This princess does not mind, but I'm afraid that this matter will reach the ears of little sister Bai Yun in the intoxicated flower pavilion. I'm afraid little sister will be angry and from now on, Your Highness will not be able to enter little sister's bed anymore. After Chen Ning said this, she pursed her lips into a smile. Chu Xiaoyang stared at her red face and a look of disgust flashed in his eyes. She was so ugly that he wanted to vomit just by looking at her. She still wanted him to stay the night and share the same bed with her. Keep dreaming. He snorted heavily through his nose, and without saying a word, turned around and walked away. Chen Ning smiled as she watched his back. Sure enough, it was exactly as she had expected. As long as she mentioned staying over, he would run faster than a rabbit. Paw! Did he really think that she cared about him? Come to the eastern suburb horse field tomorrow at the 5 hour. Chu Xiaoyang walked to the door and suddenly stopped, turning around and saying this in a flirtatious manner. What? Chen Ning was stunned as she looked at him in confusion. Chu Xiaoyang suddenly closed in and a large palm grabbed her neck. Chen Ning suddenly felt like she couldn't breathe. Her eyes were wide open as she looked at Chu Xiaoyang's eyes filled with killing intent, but there was no fear in her eyes at all. This king is telling you, don't play tricks with this king. If you want to change this king's mind, there's no way. He gritted his teeth and his eyes turned red. He stared at Chen Ning like she had killed his father. You want to change this king's mind? No way. He gritted his teeth and his eyes turned red. He stared at Chen Ning like she had killed his father. She wanted him to change his mind. Was this man's brain damaged or was he squeezed by the door? Chapter 178. Cool. She could not say anything. Her neck felt like it was being cut open and she began to violently cough. This damn cheap man, he was using such heavy hand. Chu Xiaoyang let go and Chen Ning escaped from his grasp. She rubbed her neck and took a breath of fresh air into her lungs. She took in deep breaths. Chen Ning, this king is telling you, no matter how many tricks you use, this king will only have Bai Yun in his heart. You should just give up on that thought. Do you think that with the eldest princess supporting you, this king will not dare to make a move against you? This king has 100 ways to make you disappear without a trace. If you want to live, then behave yourself for this king in the future. He suddenly pushed her and Chen Ning's back slammed into the wall, causing her to grimace in pain. Chu Xiaoyang did not even look back as he left. Damn! Cheap man! Trash man! Chen Ning stared at the direction Chu Xiaoyang left in. She was confused at first and then she gritted her teeth. What kind of crazy thing was this bastard doing? Which eye of his saw that she wanted to reconcile with him? Young miss, did that bastard highness hit you? When Chu Xiaoyang left, Xiaoru was the first to charge in. Seeing the red marks on Chen Ning's neck, her eyes turned red and tears began to fall. Princess consort, this servant will immediately cook some eggs for you. Chun Tao quickly ran out. This servant will go get some hot water for you to wash your face. Xia He also had a look of concern on her face. Xia He, you stay. Chen Ning gave a few coughs. She held Xiao Ru's hand and sat down. She understood in her heart that Chu Xiaoyang did not use any heavy hand, otherwise she would have already gone to see the King of Hell. But what she did not understand was why he would be so angry for no reason. Was it because he was beaten by the eldest princess? It shouldn't be, right? Xia He, go and find out what the eldest princess did at His Highness' place and what she said. She remembered what Chu Xiaoyang had said, telling her to go to the eastern suburbs horse track tomorrow. There had to be a reason for this. The so-called knowing oneself and knowing one's enemy was to win 100 battles. She had to find out, she did not want to die without knowing why. Xia He gave a sound of agreement and left. But the news she found made Chen Ning not know whether to laugh or cry. After the eldest princess fiercely taught Chu Xiaoyang a lesson, she gave him another strict order. She wanted him to teach Chen Ning how to ride a horse in 10 days. After 10 days, she invited Chu Xiaoyang and Chen Ning to participate in the spring hunt. Moreover, Chu Xiaoyang was not allowed to bring his concubine Chen Bai Yun. After hearing this, Chen Ning did not know what to say. The eldest. Chen Ning did not know what to say. It was a pity that her good intentions were used in the wrong place and in the wrong way. Because Chen Ning had played matchmaker for the eldest princess had thought of this method to repay her. She wanted to give Qin Ning and Chu Xiaoyang a chance to be alone with each other. She wanted the two of them to be close to each other and their misunderstandings would disappear, allowing them to reconcile. In this world, was there anything more ambiguous than teaching someone how to ride a horse? Was there anything more effective in promoting feelings? Was not. In, was. Chen, was. Was. He, comma. Ning, was. Who wanted to let that cheap man teach her how to ride a horse? Who would want to get back together with that bastard? Who wanted to be that cheap man's legal princess? You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.